Chapter 864. As Luo Sheng's manager, you shouldn't panic. Tang Ning saw that Long Jie was in a daze, so she immediately gave her some support. I was careless. There's no point in pursuing this matter. Tang Ning held onto Long Jie's shoulder and forced her to look at her. Listen, I'm ordering you to protect Luo Sheng's career and restore his confidence. Can you do it? Long Jie glared at Tang Ning. After quite some time, she finally nodded her head in seriousness. I can do it. After speaking, Long Jie tugged on Tang Ning's sleeve. You must find the culprit, of course. Tang Ning nodded her head in seriousness. Soon, Tang Yichen stepped out of the emergency room. After removing her mask, she approached Tang Ning and said, to be honest, his condition is worse than you think. I'm going to look for Lu Guangli to perform surgery right now. Otherwise, he might not even be able to keep his right eye. This wasn't a result of a fall. Otherwise, how could it have hit his eye socket? It was a direct hit from a close distance. Hurry up and go. Tang Yichen quickly rushed into Lu Guangli's office. There's a complicated surgery, Dr. Lu. Lu Guangli lifted his head and glanced at Tang Yichen coldly. I'm already off work. But he's seriously injured. No one else can perform this surgery. Tang Yichen looked at Lu Guangli in seriousness as her voice trembled slightly. Lu Guangli was stunned for a few seconds. In the end, he stood up and said, Go get my clothes. With Lu Guangli's help, Tang Ning relaxed a little. She then gave Mo Ting a phone call and told him everything that happened. Where are you? I'll come pick you up right now. Tang Ning gave Mo Ting the hospital's address, and he soon arrived. I've already asked Lu Che to investigate the investor, and I've also called the police to retrieve surveillance footage. But it's going to be harder to find the culprit on a rainy night than usual. Tang Ning boarded the car and fastened her seatbelt. Her voice was firm. But I will definitely get to the bottom of this matter. The media will definitely publicize this matter. You need to be prepared. You won't be able to hide it for long. I know. Tang Ning's heart ached. Luo Sheng was so young, yet he was going to suffer like this. I was too careless. I didn't put myself in Luo Sheng's shoes. It's all my fault. Ning. Mo Ting parked his sports car on the side of the road and turned to comfort her. The most important thing right now is how to deal with the situation. However, in front of Long Jie, she did not dare to break down. But in front of Mo Ting, she could rely on him as much as she wanted. Not only do they want Luo Sheng to be unable to film, they also want to disfigure him. All the popular students whose resources were stolen by Luo Sheng are suspects. Of course, the focus is on this investor with the surname Luo. Find out which young man he is closer to. That way, we can quickly confirm it. Do you understand? Tang Ning turned her head and looked into Mo Ting's eyes as she nodded her head. Don't worry, I will definitely find out the truth and make them suffer. As for how to handle the public relations, it's up to you. Because once the news got out, the crew would have to wait for a replacement. As for the other resources, it was equivalent to drawing water with a sieve. But if Tang Ning hid the truth and was eventually exposed, it would only cause more trouble. So Tang Ning needed to seize the opportunity to speak first. At least, she needed to retain the public's sympathy and give Luo Sheng a chance to turn the situation around. By the time the 2-hour surgery was over, it was already 2 a.m. Lu Guangli stepped out of the operating theater, removed his mask and said to Tang Yichen, His eyes have been saved, but there will be a scar on his forehead. If you want to get plastic surgery, you will need to think about it. You will need to wait at least 6 months. The extravasated blood in his head has been cleaned up. But no one can guarantee that he will be able to recover in the end. Based on the shape of the wound, it looks like it was caused by a piece of wood. We can look for evidence in this direction. Thank you, Dr. Lu. Long Jie immediately thanked him. Lu Guangli looked at Tang Yichen and simply asked her if she was satisfied. He then removed his surgical gloves and left the operating theater. Tang Yichen took a deep breath and patted Long Jie on the shoulder. It's a miracle that his eyes were saved. Don't worry, Lu Guangli's words were harsh. But what he meant was that Luo Sheng will recover. He just needs some time. Are you serious? Long Jie immediately lifted her head and asked. Yes. You don't need to worry about Lu Guangli's medical skills. Just focus on helping Luo Sheng recover. After speaking, Tang Yichen chased after Lu Guangli. Meanwhile, Long Jie walked into Luo Sheng's room. As she looked at his pale face, she almost burst into tears. Luo Sheng was still unconscious. What in the world had happened this night? How could Luo Sheng suffer such inhumane torture? With Mo Ting's reminder, Tang Ning quickly calmed down. She knew that if she fell into a state of panic, Luo Sheng's situation would be even worse. So the first thing she did was give the director of Red Flame a phone call and explain everything that happened that night. I don't know when Luo Sheng will be able to return to the set, so I understand their decision to change the male lead. But director, can you promise me that you won't give up on Luo Sheng until the very last moment? I'm sure you know what's going on. If the other party succeeds, the industry will no longer be able to obtain resources through violence. I'm sure you don't want to see that happen either. Plus, I won't give up on Luo Sheng. No matter what happens to him, if I can help him recover once, I can do it again. After hearing Tang Ning's words, the director thought for a moment. I can't guarantee anything else, but as long as I am the director of Red Flame, I can promise you that I will persist until the very end. I can wait for Luo Sheng. Thank you, director. You don't need to thank me. I believe in your abilities. Rather than offending you, why don't we trust each other for once? It's much better than fighting against each other in the end, the director said reasonably. Plus, Luo Sheng is indeed very hardworking. I like actors like him. By the way, I will keep an eye out for any artists that want to approach Red Flame for the male lead. I'm sure this will help you in finding the culprit, the director said with good intentions. Thank you, director. Tang Ning thanked sincerely. You did the right thing, Mo Ting said as he sat to one side and held on to Tang Ning's hands. No one should provoke my woman. Chapter 865. Luo Sheng was injured because he wanted to meet the investor of derivative. So, Tang Ning had no choice but to look for Luo Sheng to understand the situation. But according to the police's initial investigation, Luo Sheng was injured before he could even reach the investor's home. But the police had no idea why Luo Sheng stopped his car halfway, and what happened during that time. Because of the heavy rain, there was no way to preserve any evidence. Plus, there were no surveillance cameras on the road. If Luo Sheng didn't want to talk, then no one would know what happened behind the scenes. The next day, news of Luo Sheng's disfigurement spread like wildfire. An artist with a bright future was suddenly disfigured at a time like this. The timing was too perfect. People in the industry were surprised. But when they thought about it carefully, they realized that it was within expectations. After all, Tang Ning was too hateful, so it was understandable that someone wanted to make a move on her. Everyone felt sorry for Luo Sheng, but they were probably laughing at him behind the scenes. After all, Luo Sheng represented Tang Ning. So Luo Sheng's death meant that outsiders could point at Tang Ning and say things like this. Look, Tang Ning's artist is nothing special. Isn't Tang Ning known as the salvager? What happened in the end? Her artist still fell just like that. Tang Ning still can't do it. Tang Ning had already prepared herself for how the public would view her. So, she contacted Long Jie to meet old Luo. The man wasn't easy to meet. After Long Jie repeatedly asked for his permission, Tang Ning finally got a chance to meet him for dinner. While Long Jie accompanied Luo Sheng at the hospital, Tang Ning asked Lin Qian to accompany her to a restaurant. As soon as she saw the man, Tang Ning was a little surprised. The man was in his 40s, but he maintained his appearance well. He had an imposing aura, and didn't look like someone from the underworld at all. Mrs. Mo, I've heard a lot about you. Tang Ning sat down in front of the man and got straight to the point. I'm sure Mr. Luo knows why I'm here. Of course I do. But I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with me. The man laughed. I sympathize with Luo Sheng's experience, but I didn't plan it. But Luo Sheng was attacked on his way to meet you. Mrs. Mo, are you trying to blackmail me? The man laughed. Since things have come to this point, I have a few words of advice for Mrs. Mo. Your so-called fishing out of artists is actually destroying the natural order of the industry. You have broken the rules and broken the system, so isn't it natural for you to receive revenge? I'm sure President Mo loves you enough to allow you to maintain such naive thoughts and not stop you. But reality is often very cruel. You're too idealistic. Didn't President Mo tell you? Luo Sheng's fate today will be the fate of your other artists in the future. Save it. This industry is all about luck and background. Your so-called fairness can't even guarantee your own future, let alone others. Luo Sheng should have been able to live a peaceful life. How did he end up being disfigured? Isn't it all because of you? President Mo is willing to spoil you and let you have your way. But the market will never be polite to anyone. This is the truth that you are looking for. Are you satisfied with this answer? I hope you didn't waste your time coming all the way here. The man chuckled. His words were ruthless and emotionless, but every word pierced Tongning's heart. Luo Sheng still hadn't woken up and his parents had only just received news of what had happened soon. The man left and Tongning didn't stay either. What did he say? Lin Qian ran over and asked. I didn't get anything useful out of him. Let's go. Tongning said tiredly. Lin Qian did not notice that Tongning was acting strangely. She simply felt that Luo Sheng had been wronged. How could he not be able to track down the culprit when he was attacked on a stormy day? Soon, the production crew of Red Flame received a phone call. They were ready to replace Luo Sheng. After all, he was disfigured and not just lightly injured, so they couldn't afford to wait any longer. They had already agreed yesterday that they wouldn't give up so easily. But after seeing the public's reaction, the director immediately changed his mind. Was this what the market meant by teaching him how to behave? Soon Tongning returned home. As soon as she saw Mo Ting, she immediately wrapped her arms around his waist and did not say a word. What's wrong? Although Mo Ting didn't know what had happened, he could sense a sense of defeat from Tongning's body. Ting, do you think that a lot of my thoughts and actions are naive? This includes establishing superstar media and investing in a sci-fi film. Mo Ting understood what Tongning wanted to ask, so he turned around and looked at her. I've never underestimated your decisions because no one understands your abilities better than I do. But it's only now that I feel like I've been hitting a rock with an egg. After hearing this, Mo Ting furrowed his brows. Why are you doubting yourself? Is it because Luo Sheng was attacked? Do you know why you've always been invincible? Tongning replied. You're wrong. It's because you're confident that you'll win, Mo Ting replied. At this moment, Tongning fell silent. She had overcome so many obstacles in the past. Yet, she was now doubting herself because of a few words. After hearing Mo Ting's words, Tongning smiled and placed a kiss on Mo Ting's lips. You always make me see myself clearly. Afterwards, Tongning gave the investor Luo Sheng a phone call. This time, she did not wait for him to speak as she directly said, Mr. Luo, although your point of view is the truth, I'm sorry, I can't agree with you. That's because we have different beliefs. My ultimate goal is indeed to change the environment of the entertainment industry. But I'm not one to rush for quick results. I know the importance of accumulating bit by bit. So Luo Sheng has simply reached a temporary bottleneck. I can help him return to the way he was before, or even better. I will naturally investigate Luo Sheng's matter. But Mr. Luo, you are still the biggest suspect. You like to play by the rules, I like to be fair. There's no right or wrong, it's simply a personal choice. The investor obviously did not expect Tongning to say something like this. As expected, she wasn't a woman that was easily conquered. With a gentle laugh, investor Luo gave Tongning a big present. The area where Luo Sheng got into an accident is a villa estate. You can go ask around and see if anyone managed to capture a photo of Luo Sheng being injured. That way, you will be able to find out the truth. Chapter 866. After Luo Sheng got injured, the crew of Red Flame immediately changed their male lead and cancelled their contract with him. On the surface, this didn't seem wrong. After all, the crew had such a high budget, so they couldn't afford to wait for someone who might not even return. But when it came to Tongning, even if you didn't do anything wrong, you couldn't leave so easily. If you wanted to cancel your contract, it was fine. But if you abandoned the male lead in less than a day, it was inevitable that people would accuse you of hitting someone when they were down. Naturally, this caused the audience to feel disgusted. After all, the public had always liked to side with the weak, especially when Luo Sheng was in such a pitiful state. Tongning took the opportunity to hold a press conference to announce Luo Sheng's current situation to the public. She also expressed that superstar media had no intention of giving up on Luo Sheng. In other words, Tongning was implying that they could bully Luo Sheng as much as they wanted, but they had to remember one thing. If Tongning could turn Luo Sheng's life around once, she could turn him around again. But when that time comes, don't blame them for turning their backs on you. The reporters were most concerned about the identity of Luo Sheng's culprit. Of course, Tongning knew that this was the best way to help Luo Sheng maintain his popularity. So, during the press conference, she did not answer them. Lin Qian was currently cooperating with the police and the residents of the villa estate to confirm the identity of the culprit. One of them ended up knocking on a military family's door. As soon as the man saw Lin Qian, he was a little surprised. He didn't seem unfamiliar to her, but at that moment, Lin Qian's first impression was that he was tall. His eyes were calm and composed, which complemented his chiseled face. It was a perfect match for the military uniform he was wearing. "Sir, can I ask you a question?" "I just returned from the army, so I don't know anything," the man replied stiffly. "I simply want to see the surveillance footage on the outermost wall of your house. Is that okay?" After hearing Lin Qian's request, the man finally looked at her with a "you're seeking death" expression. "This is confidential information, so I can't provide it to you. Sorry." Lin Qian. "Miss Lin, let us talk to him." As soon as the police saw Lin Qian's expression, they immediately stepped forward. But, like before, they couldn't communicate. After all the man had to do was flash his ID and they wouldn't be able to do anything. Helplessly, the police had no choice but to persuade Lin Qian to leave. "Miss Lin, please leave. This is indeed confidential information." "What secret?" "I'm just taking a look. I'm not interested in his secrets. I don't know who he is, but if he really filmed a crime, isn't it his duty as a citizen to cooperate with the police to solve the case?" Lin Qian said with a hint of anger. Luo Sheng still hadn't woken up. No one knew what he would look like when he woke up. But the surveillance camera was their only lead, so Lin Qian didn't want to give up so easily. So, she went back and knocked on his door again. The other party was obviously a little shocked. The questioning look in his eyes was also very obvious. "I'm not asking that I can see it. I just hope that you can confirm whether your surveillance cameras have captured any important information. Is that okay?" After a few seconds of silence, the man finally let go of her. "You can come in, but you'll have to bear the consequences." Lin Qian did not believe that this man would do anything to her, so she followed him in. The man admired Lin Qian's courage, but didn't really support her. Entering a single man's home was a very dangerous thing to do. But he still helped Lin Qian confirm the surveillance footage. He then handed her a USB drive. "Here's what you want to see." At this time, Lin Qian's eyes lit up. "Thank you. If you really want to thank me, save it for next time." At this time, Lin Qian had no idea what the man was talking about. Her attention was completely focused on the USB drive. Afterwards, Lin Qian handed the USB drive to the police for them to confirm. Soon, the police came back with a result. This surveillance footage captured Luo Sheng hitting a pedestrian on the road and slamming on the brakes. He then got out of his car, but before he could confirm what he had hit, he was attacked at close range. It's worth noting that the attacker drove away with Luo Sheng's car. "Is there any way to identify the culprit?" Lin Qian asked. "The rain is too heavy and the car's headlights are too bright, so we have no way of identifying the culprit. But we will continue to investigate the whereabouts of Luo Sheng's car. Of course, the best case scenario would be for Luo Sheng to wake up and provide us with more useful information. Plus, the strangest thing is that the footage captured from this angle shouldn't have been taken from the military family's villa. As the man had only given them a snippet, the police had no way of confirming anything. This was only natural. After all, the man had hacked into the surveillance footage in that area and found some useful information for Lin Qian. However, Lin Qian had no idea. But in the end, no one knew whether the incident was targeted at Luo Sheng or Tongning. Hopefully, the mystery would be solved as soon as possible. Lin Qian was currently staying at Xinglan's home. As she returned home that evening, she noticed Xinglan holding onto a photo. so she leaned in for a look. Who is this? My cousin, Xinglan replied. He's handsome, isn't he? He's the one I mentioned to introduce you to. Lin Qian found the man to be a little familiar. After looking at him for a while, she finally remembered. Wasn't this the man she had begged earlier in the day? Is this your cousin? What's the problem? Xinglan asked. In the past, we didn't keep in contact. But recently, my uncles have gotten closer to me, so they've started to have some strange ideas. They say that I know a lot of people, so I can... In other words, they were asking her to introduce someone to someone. Does a man like him even need an introduction? He's a cold-faced general. Girls are scared off by him. Who would want to be with him? Xinglan humphed. Of course you're different. You're a heroine. What's your name? Li Jin. What's wrong? Are you interested? No. Lin Qian was currently troubled by Luo Sheng's matter. It's fine. Keep it as a souvenir. After speaking, Xinglan placed the photo in Lin Qian's handbag. That night, Lin Qian told Tongning about her findings and reminded her that this incident might be targeted at her. Tongning understood, but she had always been able to face dirty tricks. Long Jie just gave me a phone call and said that Luo Sheng has woken up. I'm on my way to the hospital right now. He's woken up? Doesn't that mean I can ask him about the case? Lin Qian asked. That wasn't necessarily the case. After all, it was possible that Luo Sheng wouldn't recognize anyone for a while. There were plenty of dirty tricks in the industry that were daring enough to take responsibility for. So, Tongning was in awe of the people behind this. But, she was extremely disgusted by this kind of deception. Hopefully Luo Sheng would put in more effort. Chapter 867. Luo Sheng, do you still remember me? Luo Sheng. Lying in bed, Luo Sheng looked at Long Jie weakly and replied in a raspy voice. Long Jie. Thank the heavens. As soon as Long Jie heard that Luo Sheng's intelligence was normal, she immediately clasped her hands together. Do you know how scary you are? Luo Sheng sat numbly in bed. He was confused about his injury and everything that had happened. He tried his best to remember what happened the night before, but apart from the blinding lights, he couldn't remember anything else. Am I injured? Yes, you're seriously injured, Long Jie nodded. But you don't need to worry. Your doctor is very skilled. He will definitely be able to cure you. Luo Sheng touched his head and felt a thick layer of bandage. Moreover, his right eye was also covered. But I'm injured. What should I do with the crew? Luo Sheng asked anxiously. Red Flame wasn't easy for him to secure. He couldn't lose it just because he was injured. He didn't want to miss out on an opportunity like this. But Long Jie patted him on the shoulder and comforted. Don't worry, Tongning will think of a way to protect everything that belongs to you. Luo Sheng was temporarily comforted. But when Tongning and the others arrived at the hospital, the information that Luo Sheng gave them was roughly the same as what he had seen on the surveillance cameras. He didn't offend anyone, and he didn't make arrangements with anyone beforehand. He was simply attacked on his way to meet with an investor. From the looks of it, this matter is a little tricky, Lin Qian said. Compared to finding out the truth, comforting Luo Sheng and restoring his confidence is more important. Tongning said as she glanced at Lin Qian. Tongning glanced at Lin Qian and instructed. Continue to cooperate with the police. Let me know if you find anything new. Okay, Lin Qian nodded. Tongning watched as Luo Sheng lay down in bed. During an artist's most important period of development, an accident was the scariest thing to happen. After all, it could directly destroy Luo Sheng's path to stardom. But she wasn't going to give up on her artist so easily, especially when someone was trying to harm him. Tongning did not tell Luo Sheng about the replacement of Red Flame, because he didn't need to know about it. It didn't matter if he lost Red Flame, he still had other resources. Not long after, Tongning received a phone call from old Luo stating that he was willing to let Luo Sheng play the male lead of Derivative. This was to prove that he had no intention of harming Luo Sheng. Or perhaps it was because of what Tongning had said. Tongning did not tell Luo Sheng about this, because she had other considerations. The new male lead of Red Flame was the younger brother of one of the investors. Nepotism was a common occurrence in the entertainment industry. But if Tongning found out that this man's promotion had something to do with Luo Sheng's injury, she would not let the matter rest. Since the lead role had already been cancelled, they might as well cancel the entire script. Lin Qian continued to follow the police to find Luo Sheng's murderer. But not only could they not find Luo Sheng's car, there was also no trace of the culprit. Lin Qian suddenly remembered that the police had previously mentioned that the video that Li Jin provided didn't seem to have come from his home. In that case, could she ask Li Jin what was going on? To find out the truth, Lin Qian drove over to Li Jin's villa. But after knocking on the door for a long time, there was no response. Eventually, one of Li Jin's neighbors said to Lin Qian, "Miss, stop knocking. I think Mr. Li has returned to the military base." "Thank you." Lin Qian thanked, but she was a little discouraged. But when she thought about how Xinglan had Li Jin's contact details, she felt like an idiot. So, she immediately returned home and asked Xinglan for Li Jin's contact details. "Huh. Are you interested in my cousin?" "Stop talking nonsense. Your cousin is related to Luo Sheng's case. That's impossible. He's a soldier and a monk. He wouldn't care about worldly matters," Xinglan immediately denied. "I'll explain everything to you later. Can I call him at any time?" "I'm not sure about that," Xinglan shrugged. Although she had a cousin who was a military officer, she had never contacted him. She had only seen him a few times when she was young and remembered that he could freeze people. Apart from that, Xinglan had no idea. "Forget it, I'll try to contact him." After speaking, Lin Qian stared at the phone number in her hand in a daze. After making up her mind for a long time, she finally called the number on the card. After quite some time, the person on the phone picked up. His voice was deep and pleasant, but it was cold. "Li Jin, who is this?" "I'm the woman that disturbed you before. Do you remember? I asked you for the surveillance footage." "Huh." Li Jin did not have much of a reaction. Instead, he responded coldly. "The police said that the surveillance footage wasn't from your home. So, I wanted to ask if you have any other clues. The police haven't been able to find Luo Sheng's car, let alone the culprit." After Lin Qian spoke for a long time, she realized that the phone was busy. Lin Qian was a little embarrassed, so she wanted to hang up. But at this time Li Jin said, "I was busy just now. Can you say that again?" Lin Qian repeated herself. She had already given up on Li Jin. But to her surprise, Li Jin said, "I have an hour of free time tonight. We can talk outside. I don't like to discuss things over the phone." "Oh, okay. What time? Where is a good place to meet? Tell me your address and I'll come pick you up," Li Jin said in a domineering manner. Fine, the man was a soldier and his job was to protect the country, so Lin Qian did not feel the need to argue with him. So she gave him Xinglan's address. At this time, Xinglan slowly said to Lin Qian, "Actually, my cousin has probably seen your photo before because I gave it to him." Lin Qian. In reality, the reason why old Luo was willing to give the male lead of derivative to Luo Sheng was because of Tongning's words. The other reason was because he had an agreement with Mo Ting. He was qualified to invest in one of Hai Rui's most profitable films in the future. Of course, he couldn't let Tongning know about this. But, even if Mo Ting didn't make an appearance, old Luo had already planned to give Tongning a call. But he was more than happy to receive more benefits. Tongning had indeed married a good man. This was something he couldn't deny. When he thought about his wife and daughter, old Luo naturally understood Mo Ting. But Luo Sheng did not know about this yet. Instead, he saw the news that Red Flame had been replaced. So he grabbed onto Long Jie and asked excitedly, "Long Jie, is this true?" Long Jie noticed that he was holding onto his phone, and knew that she couldn't hide the news from him. In the end, she nodded her head. "It's okay. You will soon receive better resources." Haha, based on my current state? Luo Sheng felt a little inferior. "Long Jie, tell me the truth. Will my eyes never recover?" Chapter 868. Who told you that I can't recover? Long Jie asked. Red Flame has already replaced its lead actor. Does that mean I'll never be able to act again? Luo Sheng mumbled to himself. Luo Sheng, let go of me. Luo Sheng suddenly pushed Long Jie away emotionally. You're not me. You don't know how scared I am for the future. It wasn't easy for me to get to where I am today, yet it's going to be destroyed in an instant. I don't know what I did wrong. Long Jie looked at Luo Sheng heartbroken, but she couldn't find the words to comfort him. She originally wanted Luo Sheng to have some peace and quiet, but he took the opportunity to run out while she was in the bathroom. Long Jie immediately gave Tongning a phone call. Luo Sheng's gone missing. There are reporters everywhere outside. What if he gets hurt again? Go to the set of Red Flame and look for him, Tongning replied. Why would he go there? What do you think? Tongning asked. Luo Sheng was a good person, but he was too young and impatient. Of course, the injury this time was a huge blow to him. But Tongning understood. She had no choice. Tongning was already prepared to go home to see her babies, but because of Luo Sheng, she ended up heading to the set of Red Flame. As expected, Luo Sheng was there. He was still dressed in a patient's gown and his head was wrapped in a white gauze. He was there to explain the situation to the director, but the director refused to see him. Luo Sheng, the male lead, has already been replaced. There's no point in looking for the director. One of the crew members tried to persuade. Go home. He's still injured. I just want to see the director. Really, there's nothing we can do, one of the crew members said helplessly. Luo Sheng looked at the crew members with a pale face. Just as he was about to barge in, the new male lead of Red Flame walked out accompanied by his assistant. As soon as he saw Luo Sheng, he revealed a contemptuous smile. Hey, isn't this the male lead of our romance novel? Why are you here when you're injured? How heartbreaking. Luo Sheng looked at the man with a pained expression. Luo Sheng, I am now the male lead of Red Flame. Even if you come back now, it won't change the fact that I've already replaced you, especially since your head is still wrapped up like a retarded child. No matter how capable Tongning is, there is a limit to what she can do. Did you really think she treats you like a treasure? Just you wait, in a few days, everyone will abandon you. I heard that when you got into an accident, your car was driven away. How pitiful. In all the time you've been in the industry, that car is probably the only thing that's valuable. Luo Sheng did not understand the hidden meaning behind these words, but he could sense the deep sense of humiliation. However, Tongning, who was following closely behind, overheard the man's last words. The police hadn't released the details of Luo Sheng's incident, so how did he know that Luo Sheng's car had been driven away? You're going to be a piece of trash soon. Luo Sheng clenched his fists tightly. Just as he was about to make a move, Tongning stepped forward and pulled him behind her. No matter how useless Luo Sheng is, he still relies on himself. Of course, he won't rely on his father like everyone else. I'm not sure if Luo Sheng is a piece of trash yet, but I'm certain that without your father, you would be a complete piece of trash. Seeing Tongning appear, the man wanted to refute, but he couldn't find the words. All he could do was open his mouth and endure. What did you think you could steal from Luo Sheng's hands? Tongning asked. Let me tell you, you can't steal anything. No one can steal anything from my artist. Even if they do, I'd rather destroy them than let them have their way. The man looked at Tongning in surprise, but he didn't think that she was joking. Afterwards, Tongning dragged Luo Sheng into her car. After closing the door, she handed him a tissue. Wipe your face. Ningjia. We're not in a hopeless situation yet. What's there to be depressed about? Tongning asked. I can't believe you came to look for the director. Since he can abandon you in one day, do you still think you have any hope? But this is a resource that I worked so hard to negotiate for. A resource that can be stolen is not yours, Tongning replied honestly. There are better things waiting for you. Don't be discouraged. I will definitely do what I promised you. I'm sorry, Ningjia. Although Luo Sheng did not meet the director, his appearance on set of Red Flame still caused quite a commotion. Everyone knew that actors were replaced in TV dramas. So, Luo Sheng was simply asking to be humiliated. How could Tongning's artist be so cowardly? He has no backbone. He's been replaced, yet he still went to look for the director. Isn't this the same as asking for a slap in the face? Hayes, I'm a little disappointed. Luo Sheng, what's wrong with you? Not only did Luo Sheng degrade himself by joining Red Flame, he also raised the status of Red Flame. Look, Tongning's artist is begging to get his role back. But Tongning refused to let the crew of Red Flame be happy. I'm sorry. The reason why Luo Sheng joined the set was because the director previously promised to buy him some time to recover. But the director immediately went back on his word and replaced him with the male lead. Do you think superstar media is so easy to bully? That's why Luo Sheng wants to know if it's okay to be dishonest. You can choose not to agree, but since you agreed, you should keep your promise. It's true that Luo Sheng is injured, but he will eventually recover. It's fine if someone doesn't recognize Mount Tai, because Luo Sheng has better resources waiting for him. Everyone, please wait patiently for the official announcement. Everyone knew that Long Jie's words represented Tongning's intentions. In other words, Luo Sheng joined the set not to beg the director to replace him, but to get even with him. Meanwhile, the crew of Red Flame were shameless. The director originally promised to keep Luo Sheng's role for himself, but he sold him out. Most importantly, the actor that stole resources from Luo Sheng was proud of himself. It seemed he had never seen better resources in his life. Did he think that he could step all over Luo Sheng? Wasn't his sense of superiority a little too much? Tongning left the public in suspense so that they could be prepared. Otherwise, if someone were to set their eyes on Luo Sheng's resources, what would they do? All they had to do was wait for derivative to be announced. Then, they would be able to slap someone in the face until they were swollen. It was already late at night. Lin Qian waited outside Xinglan's home for Li Jin's black car to arrive. As she waited, Xinglan's words floated through her mind. She felt a little embarrassed. No wonder Li Jin didn't seem so unfamiliar when she first met him. Get in, Li Jin said as he opened the car door. Chapter 869. Li Jin was tall and muscular. Unlike Mo Ting, he didn't have the majestic aura of a king. Instead, he was cold enough to make people feel suffocated and afraid to speak. Li Jin sounded like the name of an ancient dynasty's crown prince. But when compared to him, it was a good fit. Lin Qian didn't know where she found the courage to jump into Li Jin's car. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We can talk in the car, Lin Qian said cautiously. She suspected that if Li Jin stretched out his hand, her neck would definitely be broken. I don't like it when people talk about business in my car. It distracts me, Li Jin rejected. Lin Qian froze for a moment and did not say another word. The atmosphere in the car suddenly turned cold. Lin Qian cleared her throat, trying to find something to talk about. But she realized Li Jin had no desire to talk to her. This was the second man that she had met that made her afraid to even breathe. The first was Mo Ting. Of course, compared to Li Jin, Mo Ting was a lot more dangerous. Perhaps Li Jin's job gave her a sense of security. Not long after, the couple arrived at a restaurant. As soon as they sat down, Lin Qian asked Li Jin, "Can I ask now?" Li Jin sat down opposite Lin Qian and adjusted his casual clothes. Go ahead. I think you should know more about the inside story. The surveillance footage I gave you contains all the relevant information, Li Jin replied. Sorry. Lin Qian felt so awkward. Couldn't this man speak in a softer tone? Did he have to speak to a woman like he was in military training? However, I zoomed in on the surveillance footage. The black Porsche was already out of gas and had less than 30 kilometers left. Plus, he had to drive straight out of the city to avoid being captured. If I'm guessing correctly, the culprit would need to refuel near Blackwater Bend. If he didn't refuel, then the car must have been abandoned nearby. After hearing this, Lin Qian quickly nodded her head. The police also tried to find him, but they couldn't find him. What if the culprit didn't abandon the car or refuel? Then there's another possibility. He drove it back to his home. Even if it's not his home, it must be somewhere he's familiar with. After speaking, Li Jin knocked on the table with his finger out of habit. Go check if there are any artists in the entertainment industry nearby. Perhaps you'll find something. The police had never considered this possibility. Lin Qian couldn't help but gasp in surprise. People who came from the military were indeed different. Lin Qian wanted to thank him, but Li Jin's phone suddenly rang. Li Jin picked up his phone and went out to answer the call. When he came back, he said to Lin Qian, Sorry, something came up. I'll take you back first. It's okay, I can walk by myself. Lin Qian quickly waved her hand. Let me see you off, Li Jin insisted. Lin Qian had no choice but to say to Li Jin, in that case, take me to the office. It's near here. Lin Qian understood that Li Jin had a special job. Plus, she had no idea how she was going to spend time with Li Jin for a meal. Wouldn't it be too cold? Li Jin did not say a word. On the way home with Lin Qian, he finally said, I've seen a photo of you from my mom. Let's eat when we have time. Lin Qian wanted to explain that she had no intention of going on a blind date. But after dropping her off, Li Jin turned and left. Helplessly, Lin Qian passed on Li Jin's message to the police and they immediately began an investigation. However, after Tongning heard about the incident, she said, the actor that replaced Luo Sheng in Red Flame is quite interesting. Tongning's meaning was obvious. She wanted to focus on investigating the matter. In reality, she already had an idea, but she still needed to find clues. After all, she couldn't let Luo Sheng's injury go to waste. She was going to repay him 100-fold. This was her promise to Luo Sheng. It didn't take long before Long Jie received news from her sources that someone in the industry owned property in Blackwater Bay. But she did not alert them. Instead, she informed the police and asked them to keep a close watch on them. Finally, 2 days later, the police arrived at the family's home and drove out in a car covered in a black cloth. Although the driver wanted to destroy the car in the middle of the night, the police still caught him in the act. The case had made a breakthrough. At least, the culprit had been identified. Afterwards, the police did some research and decided to arrest the culprit. It was none other than the uncle of the new male lead, Zhang. For the sake of his nephew, he put himself in danger. He thought that as long as he destroyed the car, no one would find out. But unfortunately, don't treat the police like idiots and don't think that you're smart. Soon, the police announced that Luo Sheng's case had been solved and the culprit had confessed. The culprit was Zheng Weiran's uncle, and he just happened to be the male lead of Red Flame. What did this mean? It meant that Zheng Weiran had deliberately hurt Luo Sheng and stolen his resources. Inside the interrogation room, Zheng Weiran confessed that he had done everything, and that it had nothing to do with his nephew. His nephew was innocent. But with the evidence that the police had, they could only pin the crime on his uncle. On top of that, Zheng Weiran was smart enough to publicly apologize to Luo Sheng as soon as he found out that his uncle had been arrested. He even said that he was willing to return the male lead to Luo Sheng, and asked that Luo Sheng didn't blame his uncle. He brushed everything off cleanly. But Tongning didn't let him have his way. So she responded, Luo Sheng will soon be starring in the new drama Derivative. So you should keep Red Flame. As for your claim that you didn't know anything about what happened, the police did not announce that Luo Sheng's sports car had been stolen. Yet you knew everything. If you weren't a participant, how could you possibly know? With your uncle taking the blame for you, you may be able to escape the punishment of the law. But you can't escape the shackles of morality. For the sake of the male lead, you hurt Luo Sheng and almost caused him to lose his sight. Superstar media will never forgive you and Luo Sheng will never forgive you. Put away your disgusting act. We won't accept your pitiful act. Tongning's simple statement reminded everyone that the culprit must have known about the incident and was a participant in it. So the public shouldn't be fooled. Afterwards, Tongning released Luo Sheng's medical report and the extent of his injuries. After all, only by seeing something shocking would the public hate the culprit. As expected, as soon as Superstar Media released their report, no one could do anything about it. As a result, the crew of Red Flame was affected and had no choice but to temporarily stop filming. After all, they had already broken their promise and now a culprit had appeared. With so many scandals added together, who would want to watch their drama? Chapter 870. On the other hand, after Luo Sheng got injured, not only did he not lose everything, he even had a new drama to take on. As Tongning released her PR statement, the production crew of Derivative also officially launched into action. The male lead was, without a doubt, Luo Sheng. In fact, the crew were willing to wait for him until he recovered. Luo Sheng's incident caused a huge commotion. At least, the audience sympathized with him. So it could be considered a blessing in disguise. Ningjie, thank you. As soon as Luo Sheng realized the situation had turned around, he immediately thanked Tongning. Thank you for never giving up on me. You didn't do anything wrong, why should I give up on you? From now on, you should focus on recovering from your injuries. After you've fully recovered, you will be able to join the crew. Old Luo has already spoken to you. You have a good eye for people. Although old Luo isn't a righteous person, he's not a snake either. He's a good friend. After hearing this, Luo Sheng finally smiled. Even though it tore open his wound. I understand, Ningjie. As for the elder and elder Zheng, Tongning spent some effort to greet them. She was determined to treat them well. As for the crew of Red Flame, unless they changed their appearance, she didn't believe that they would be able to rise again, unless they were shameless enough. After worrying for so long, Tongning was a little tired. As she walked out of the office, she spotted Emoting's car parked downstairs. She immediately approached him. Why are you here? I know you missed me, Emoting said as he looked at Tongning. Tongning smiled and nodded her head. In this world, only you understand me the most. Since the matter has been resolved, have a good rest. Let's go home, Mr. Emo. I miss the kids, Tongning said coquettishly. The matter was finally resolved, but Xinglan's time in the semifinals was once again drawing closer. Although she had a tough time, she still managed to come in first place with a high score. Although Xinglan was now a part of Hairue, she still gave Tongning a phone call. After all, she didn't think that there was a better strategist than Tongning. Meanwhile, Lin Qian continued to stay at Xinglan's home. Although she guessed that Quan Zai had already moved back to the Quan family home, she still didn't want to return. She preferred to stay with Xinglan. At least it wasn't cold and lonely. Xinglan was more than happy to help Lin Qian, especially when she teased Lin Qian about Li Jin from time to time. But when she thought about the iceberg man, Lin Qian couldn't help but cross her arms and shiver. I really don't know how to get along with him. Don't. My second uncle has high hopes for you. Hey, don't they know that I just made news with that person? I know, but they don't seem to care. Perhaps it's because they think that as long as cousin can find a female, they don't mind. I have no intention of going on a blind date with your cousin. Just as Lin Qian finished speaking, she received a phone call from Li Jin. Xinglan made a sound of surprise and Lin Qian rolled her eyes. The case was already over. Was there still a need for them to meet? Lin Qian pondered for a moment, then answered the call. After all, he was her benefactor. Come to my place, Li Jin said before hanging up. Lin Qian was stunned. Am I that close to you? Even so, Lin Qian still drove over to Li Jin's home and was dragged into the living room. What's wrong? I got injured while trying to save someone. Do you know how to cook? Li Jin asked as he held onto his stomach. Lin Qian glanced at Li Jin and nodded her head. A little. I'm hungry. Lin Qian was once again stunned. What did he mean by that? Did this man really treat her like a blind date? Why didn't he ask if she was willing? Apart from you, I don't know any other woman for the time being, Li Jin explained coldly. Consider it a way for you to return the favor for helping me last time. At this point, Lin Qian finally nodded her head. Okay, lie down first. What do you want to eat? Anything. After speaking, Li Jin entered the bedroom. Just like that, Lin Qian became Li Jin's chef. This man was really full of danger and mystery, but she didn't know why she couldn't refuse his request. From the look on his face, his injury wasn't light, right? Lin Qian casually prepared a simple meal and tiptoed over to Li Jin's room. But as she entered, she found Li Jin changing his bandages. Below his stomach was a frightening hole. It was a gunshot wound. This was the first time that Lin Qian had felt so close to her. It was an accident. I saved 4 people. Lin Qian didn't know why Li Jin was explaining things to her, but she simply listened. Let's eat. I'm going home. I'll drive you. Forget it. Just focus on recovering. Li Jin nodded his head and did not try to persuade her to stay. Lin Qian let out a sigh of relief and left the villa. She then drove home. Her rationality was reminding her that this man was dangerous. Hey, you've been gone for the entire afternoon. Where did you go? Xinglan asked sneakily as she appeared behind Lin Qian. Lin Qian rolled her eyes and felt a little helpless. If it was Quan Zai, she would have avoided him without hesitation. But this Li Jin actually made her feel conflicted. She wanted to avoid him, but she also wanted to get closer to him. Damn. After Luo Sheng's matter was resolved, Tongning once again immersed herself in preparing for her sci-fi film. But since she was in charge of post-production, there were a lot of obstacles that she had to overcome. First of all, the technology was one of the biggest problems. But this did not affect Xiao Sen's confidence, because at present, he was ready for anything. The script is ready, Xiao Sen said as he handed the script to Tongning. Here's the outline. As for the actor, I really want you to act. I trust in your attitude and acting skills. Tongning received the outline with a complicated feeling. I don't plan on acting anymore. I know, but I still wanted to give it a try and ask you. Xiao Sen shrugged helplessly. It's a pity. What a pity. Tongning was silent for a moment as she thought about it. But she insisted on her decision. I can choose the most suitable actor for you. No, that's not you. I hope you can reconsider. Tongning hugged the script tightly. She was afraid that if she opened it, she wouldn't be able to close it again. Would she still be able to act? After what happened with Su Xian, would she still be accepted? Tongning hesitated. After returning home, she stared at the script on her desk in a daze. Since she had already made her decision, she shouldn't regret it. When it came to making a decision, it was necessary to give and take. As soon as Mo Ting entered the house, he saw Tongning sitting on the sofa staring at the script in a daze. Although an actor's soul had been locked up, it was still possible for her to be awakened one day. Was it time for him to become active again as a manager? Chapter 871. Since you can't let it go, why are you forcing yourself to give up on being an actress? Mo Ting flipped open the script and flipped through the pages with his fingers. You still want to act. But I have a better candidate in mind. I want Xingyan to play it, Tongning replied. Sci-fi films involve a lot of fighting scenes. I think she will do a better job. But I want you to act it. Mo Ting looked at Tongning seriously. There's nothing you can do about it, Tongning said with a deeper meaning. She then looked down at her stomach. Even if I want to force myself, the babies in my stomach won't let me. Ha. Mo Ting was a little surprised. He didn't understand what she meant. Although I'm not 100% sure, it feels the same as when I'm pregnant with the two rascals. Plus, it's been almost 2 months since I last had my period, Tongning smiled. I've been busy these past 2 days. I was waiting for you to come with me to the hospital for a checkup. Mr. Mo, would you be willing? I know you've been very strict in order to prevent me from suffering, but accidents are bound to happen. Mo Ting strode over to Tongning's side and lifted her off the sofa in his arms. Without another word, he headed for the door. Let's go right now. Hey, if you don't plan ahead of time, it will cause a commotion, Tongning quickly rejected. So what if I, Mo Ting's daughter, causes a commotion when she arrives in this world? I don't care. How do you know it's a daughter? Tongning asked as she wrapped her arms around his neck. I can feel it. After speaking, Mo Ting led Tongning to the garage and placed her in the passenger seat of his car. However, he was not in a hurry to get into the car. Instead, he leaned over and said apologetically, I've told you before, I don't want you to suffer from childbirth anymore. But I'm willing to give birth to another little angel for you, Tongning replied. She needs to be cheerful and playful. Plus, she loves to act coquettishly and compete with me for my affection. Mo Ting stretched out his hand and gently stroked Tongning's hair as he placed a kiss on her forehead. You always bring me miracles. Before I met you, I never imagined that I would have a happy marriage. I never imagined that I would have a loving wife and 3 adorable children. And now you have it all. Tongning held onto Mo Ting's hand and rubbed her cheek against the back of his hand. Let's go to the hospital. Over the past few days, she had been affected by Luo Sheng's incident. Originally, she should have gone for a checkup a long time ago. But because Luo Sheng's matter hadn't been resolved, she felt uneasy. Soon, the couple arrived at the hospital. On the way there, Mo Ting gave Lu Che a phone call to make arrangements. So, the hospital was relatively quiet. Wuxia waited for the two to arrive. He was a little confused as to what was going on. As soon as he saw Emoting carrying Tongning, he quickly asked, "Did something happen to the madam?" Emoting didn't say anything. He only ordered, "Stand guard outside." Tongning entered the OB/GYN department and underwent all sorts of tests. In the end, the couple received an answer. Tongning was already 7 weeks pregnant and was developing well. Although it wasn't her first time being a parent, it was different from being pregnant with the twins. After all, the couple had a strong feeling that their child was going to be a girl. Just the thought of a little one climbing onto his thighs made Emoting's handsome face soften. Meanwhile, Tongning felt like she had found a love rival and a helper. Her childhood was tough and she didn't receive much love. From now on, I'm going to give my daughter a lot of love. I can tie braids with her and teach her how to be in love. But I will never give you to her. Emoting hugged Tongning tightly. The couple did not say a word for quite some time. Now you don't object to me asking Xingyan to act in my film, do you? Tongning smiled. The new film was called Purgatory. It was an extremely suspenseful sci-fi film with plenty of action scenes. According to Tongning's current condition, she wouldn't be able to handle it. Plus, this was a film with a female lead. Don't tire yourself out. Let's keep a low profile during this pregnancy. Don't tell anyone about it for now. I don't want to cause a commotion. Right now you're the boss. Emoting nodded gently. After the two were done with their examination, Emoting carried Tongning out without telling Wuxia the reason. Of course, Wuxia wasn't stupid, he could guess what was going on. But this was Emoting's private matter, so he couldn't reveal it to anyone. After returning home, Emoting placed Tongning on the bed and placed his warm palms on her burning hot skin. Of course, he couldn't feel anything at the moment. I can't tell you how much I love you. All I want to tell you is that I will be a good father to the 3 rascals. I know. Tongning nodded. I know that your love for me grows with every passing moment. Because I feel the same way. The love that was deep in their bones was always for each other's sake, not for themselves. Ting. I'm going to be a mother again. As Tongning was pregnant, Emoting listened to her and handed the outline of Purgatory to Chen Xingyan. He then arranged to meet with Nziheo and briefly explained what Tongning was currently working on. Nziheo was surprised. He knew that Tongning had invited Xiaosun back, but he didn't expect her to be so bold as to actually want to produce an outstanding domestic sci-fi film. It went without saying how difficult it was. The post-production required real skills. Okay, I'll take Xingyan to see Xiaosun when the time comes. Nziheo wasn't confident that he would accept a film like this. After all, although Chen Xingyan wasn't a big shot, she was still considered a popular actress. If she were to appear in this film and cause the public's opinion of her to change, a high-quality sci-fi movie? Just thinking about it made it seem impossible. But he had absolute trust in Tongning. As soon as Chen Xingyan heard about this, she replied, "Go ahead and accept it. I don't understand why you're so pessimistic, but I think this is a good opportunity. Look, Xiaosun is obsessed with sci-fi and Ning Jie is such a serious person. How bad do you think their film will be? This is like a pie falling from the sky. Think about it, if they really succeed, then my status will definitely take a qualitative leap." After hearing Chen Xingyan's analysis, Nziheo agreed. Fine, you've successfully convinced me. But filming this film will be extremely tough. No matter how tough it is, it won't be as tough as when I was a stunt double. Don't worry, did you think I would care about something like this? Chen Xingyan asked casually. It's actually quite exciting. But I have a question. Why doesn't Ning Jie act on her own? This was also the question that Nziheo was curious about. Perhaps she hasn't gotten over the incident with Su Xian, or perhaps she has other plans. Either way, don't make wild guesses. Plus, you won't be able to get past the director. Chen Xingyan humphed. Although I'm not like Ning Jie, I'm at least hardworking and attentive. Chapter 872. As expected, Xiaosun refused to let Chen Xingyan take part in the film. After looking through the information that Tongning had sent him, he felt that Chen Xingyan was still too young and didn't match up with their film. Even though Zihao and Chen Xingyan were already standing outside the studio, Xiao Sun still said the same thing. I still think that you are the most suitable. Why don't you recommend someone more suitable to me? But based on your current performance, I can only say that I don't accept you. You should give Xingyan a chance to audition, Tang Ning asked. I was originally moved by your acting. That's why I was willing to start afresh. Xiao Sun insisted. I honestly don't think she's suitable. I've always known that director Xiao Sun is very strict. Now that I've seen him today, he's indeed different. Seeing that Tang Ning wasn't making any progress, and Zihao approached the couple and said, What do you think she's not suitable in? You can tell me and we can find a suitable actress. Xiao Sun glanced at Tang Ning and then at Zihao. I'm sorry, I can't get an actress that still needs training to act in my film. I can't do that. That's why, before we decide on an actress, I'll go home first. When you've decided on a role that I'm satisfied with, I'll come back. After speaking, Xiao Sun left the studio without giving Chen Xingyan a second chance. However, Chen Xingyan and Zihao did not get angry. They simply shrugged their shoulders at Tang Ning. It seems, you're the one that everyone wants. But there's nothing I can do. Tang Ning shook her head helplessly. Is it because of Su Xian? It's because I'm pregnant again, Tang Ning said as she pointed to her stomach. Then there's nothing I can do. And Zihao laughed. However, I have a suggestion that Director Chiao might not reject and let President Mo act. I've already seen the script. Although it's a film with a female lead, the world is still supported by men. Previously, when you were an actress, President Mo was the one that handled everything behind the scenes for you. So, why can't the two of you swap roles? You can say that you've helped each other. Zihao said a lot today, but the last few sentences were the most honest. Chen Xingyan agreed with Zihao's suggestion. Everyone has witnessed your acting skills. I'm sure Director Xiao Sun won't reject you. Tang Ning took a deep breath. She was suddenly put in a difficult position. After returning home, Tang Ning explained Zihao's thoughts to Mo Ting. But she didn't want Mo Ting to be so tired. Dealing with matters at Hai Rui on a daily basis was already exhausting enough. Now that he was home, he had to take care of the child. Where was he supposed to find the energy to film? Mo Ting did not say anything, but his meaning was clear. Actually, Ting. Tang Ning sighed. I like that my work has a shadow of you in it, and I put in a lot of effort into it. That's good, Mo Ting replied. But, don't worry, get some rest, Mo Ting replied. Do you have a better idea? Tang Ning knew she didn't. I can act as a superhero. This way, even if the children in the future can understand it, they will be proud of their father. For some reason, Tang Ning felt that Mo Ting's heart had softened a lot after becoming a father. Plus, he had already made a lot of sacrifices for the mother and son. Afterwards, Tang Ning called Xiao Sun to tell him about her plan. At this time, Xiao Sun was quite surprised that Mo Ting knew how to act. Tang Ning did not say anything else. She simply sent Xiao Sun a copy of the historical drama that they had filmed together. After Xiao Sun watched it, he gave Tang Ning a phone call. Then it's decided. Purgatory was going to be played by Mo Ting. Long Jie and Lin Qian were equally shocked by this news. They both thought that Tang Ning wouldn't be able to resist acting as the female lead. Who would have thought that things would turn out this way? Was Mo Ting planning to develop in this direction from now on? But in reality that wasn't the case. Tang Ning arranged work at Superstar Media. The most important thing right now was Luo Sheng's recovery, so Long Jie had to take good care of him. As for Lin Qian, Xia Hanmo was about to return to China, so she needed someone to take care of her. As for new artists, they didn't have to sign them for now. Instead, they were going to find ways to support and help them if they had good potential. Are you planning to focus on behind-the-scenes work? Long Jie asked as she tapped on the table. Yes, I'm going to focus on behind-the-scenes work, Tang Ning nodded. Okay. Although I don't understand, I will support your decision. I also support it. Lin Qian immediately raised her hand. Long Jie looked at Lin Qian's slow hand and couldn't help but laugh. I heard from Xinglan that someone has been going on a blind date. I went on a blind date because I wanted to cooperate with the police. Lin Qian rolled her eyes. Do you think you can go to someone else's house to do their laundry and cook during an investigation? I can't explain it to you. Lin Qian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Her innocence had been destroyed by Xinglan's big mouth. She really shouldn't have made friends carefully. I heard that he's in the military. Logically speaking, he should be the best in that area. After hearing this, Lin Qian's face turned red. Long Jie, you're too perverted. The three chatted in the office until Mo Ting's car arrived at Superstar Media. As soon as Long Jie saw him, she was a little surprised. Did boss specifically come to pick you up? Doesn't he come to pick me up often? What's so strange about that? What's strange is the timing, Long Jie replied as she shook her head. She simply grabbed her handbag and walked out of the office without explaining. Long Jie was confused as she looked at Lin Qian suspiciously. Isn't she acting a little strange? Lin Qian glared at her and stood up with her handbag. Who wanted to continue talking to this pervert? But as soon as Lin Qian arrived downstairs, she noticed Li Jin's tall figure. How did you know about this place? I dropped you off last time, Li Jin replied. Of course, his expression was as cold as ever. Let's go. Where are you going? Lin Qian asked. This time she wasn't stupid. She wasn't going to get kidnapped. To eat. I'm going home. After speaking, Lin Qian turned to leave. But Li Jin lifted her over his shoulder and threw her into the car. I don't like it when people disobey my orders. I'm not your subordinate. Plus, I'm not familiar with you, Mr. Li, Lin Qian yelled. But, I assumed that you knew from the beginning that I was your blind date. Yet, you didn't avoid me because you had the intention to continue. Could it be that I misunderstood you? Li Jin asked straightforwardly. Lin Qian froze for a moment as her face turned even redder. That was a misunderstanding. I've researched you. I don't think it was just wishful thinking. Chapter 873. I think you've misunderstood me. I'm not the type of woman to flirt, Lin Qian interrupted. Li Jin calmed down and glanced out the window. After Lin Qian calmed down, he said calmly, I don't have that much time to chase after women. Hearing this, Lin Qian was a little surprised as she looked at him helplessly. You're a hero in most people's eyes. But women are petty. Not everyone can be righteous. I will try my best to find time to get to know you better. Li Jin's words were obviously cold, but for some reason, Lin Qian felt there was warmth in them. I'm a person that can be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. Don't do things that annoy me, Lin Qian replied. So you don't dislike me at the moment? Lin Qian lowered her head and did not say a word. Forget it, Li Jin was busy and didn't appear in front of her all the time. Perhaps this was for the best. My heart is hard and hard to break. If you're in a rush to get married, or if you want me to act coquettishly and roll around on top of you like other women, I can't do that. Lin Qian did not look at Li Jin, and Li Jin did not respond. After quite some time, when they were about to arrive at the restaurant, Li Jin finally said, You're exactly as I expected. I hate troublesome women, but you aren't troublesome at all. This man was quite straightforward. He treated matters between men and women like he was completing a mission. Could it be that he was so loyal to his country? So give me an answer. In the end, do you want to continue developing? At this time, Lin Qian got out of the car and walked in front of Li Jin. After sitting down, Lin Qian replied, Give me some time. I need to think about it. After all, we've only known each other for a few days. Okay, but don't take too long. Lin Qian didn't like flirtatious men like Quan Zai who were full of unpredictable factors. But she probably wouldn't like a man like Li Jin who did things the same way and was meticulous in everything he did, right? He was too cold and too dignified. The two ate in silence and Lin Qian felt a little uncomfortable. But Li Jin casually said, In front of me, just be yourself. I don't mind. Thanks to Li Jin's words, Lin Qian completely relaxed. But it didn't take long before she received a phone call from Xinglan. Lin Qian, hurry back. A lawyer is looking for you. A lawyer? Lin Qian frowned. I don't know any lawyers. It seems to be related to the Quan family. Lin Qian was surprised but still nodded. I'll be back soon. Let's go, I'll take you back. Li Jin heard Lin Qian's words and immediately stood up. It didn't take long before Li Jin escorted Lin Qian downstairs. He originally wanted to say goodbye, but Lin Qian had already entered the apartment without looking back. This girl was pretty cool. Hello, Miss Lin. I'm the lawyer hired by Mrs. Quan. My surname is Yang. Lin Qian entered the living room and saw the lawyer. She politely shook his hand. Tell me, what does Mrs. Quan want? These are the expenses you've spent in the Quan family over the years. Mrs. Quan hopes you will pay them all back. After all, you're currently in the entertainment industry and you don't lack money, so... That's interesting. Xinglan stood to one side and felt a chill down her spine. This is the first time I've heard of adoptive parents forcing their children to pay them back. Over the years, the Quan family has provided you with food and clothing, but you've bitten the hand that fed you and hurt the Quan family's only son. That's why Mrs. Quan is doing this. Let me have a look. Lin Qian received the list and glanced at it. $30 million? That's enough to raise 10 of me, right? If Miss Lin has any objections to the amount, you can appeal and Mrs. Quan will use legal means to seek justice for herself. The lawyer boasted shamelessly. The Quan family are disgusting, Xinglan sneered. If I pay back $30 million, does that mean I'm done with the Quan family? Lin Qian asked as she waved the list in her hand. In theory, yes. You can't be stupid enough to pay them $30 million, right? That's not a small amount. Where are you going to find the money on such short notice? Xinglan looked at Lin Qian worriedly. Mrs. Quan said that she'll give you time to prepare within a week. I think I've already conveyed my message. I'll be leaving now. Sorry for disturbing you, Miss Lin. After speaking, the lawyer left the apartment elegantly. The Quan family are weird. I've never seen such shameless foster parents. This is what I owe the Quan family. It's time for me to pay them back, Lin Qian replied. I'm afraid, in your heart, you only owe Quan Zai. Lin Qian did not say a word. She simply pulled out her bank card and looked at how much money she had left. For a manager like her, $30 million wasn't something she could afford in 3 years, let alone a week. The Quan family were demanding an exorbitant price. It seemed, Mother Quan was trying to get revenge for her son. Should I tell Ningjie? Ningjie has practically used up all her savings to film Purgatory. I don't want to make things difficult for her at a time like this. Let me think of a way. If you can't afford it, the Quan family are going to take legal action. I refuse to believe that they can win. Lin Qian sneered. It's fine. Focus on the competition. I really want to curse. They're too shameless. Lin Qian did not say a word as she lowered her head and walked into her bedroom. Xinglan looked at Lin Qian's back and sighed. At a time like this, she really wished that there was a man by Lin Qian's side. But that man definitely wasn't Quan Zai. The reason why Quan Zai couldn't give Lin Qian happiness, apart from his personality, was because he came from a difficult family. After all, he had been stuck between Lin Qian and Mother Quan for so many years. This meant that he couldn't make either side compromise. If Lin Qian had agreed to Quan Zai back then, it wasn't hard to imagine how difficult her future would have been. Xinglan thought for a moment before she gave her uncle a phone call and asked for Li Jin's phone number. However, she didn't think she should make the decision on her own. I'm Li Jin, heir. Xinglan was a little nervous as she heard the cold voice. I'm Li Xian. What's up? Xinglan thought for a moment and explained the entire situation to Li Jin. This is what happened. When Lin Qian's adoptive parents raised her, they never said that she would repay them. Yet, they're now forcing her to pay them $30 million. She's just a manager. Where did she get that much money? I understand, Li Jin replied before she hung up the phone without waiting for Xinglan to continue. Chapter 874. Xinglan froze for a moment. She suddenly realized she had found the wrong person. But what did Li Jin do? He directly contacted his friend who knew the law and asked if Lin Qian should repay the debt. His friend gave him an accurate answer. Of course not. Only an idiot would repay the debt. But Li Jin believed that Lin Qian wanted to repay the debt because she wanted to cut all ties with the Quan family. But the amount wasn't as astronomical as this. Of course, this was something that happened outside of the industry and news had not spread. So under Mo Ting's restrictions, Tongning used her remaining time to prepare for her film. But during this period of time, a lot of films were released, but not a single one caught the public's attention. This was because their expectations for film and television were getting higher and higher. Their expectations for actors were no longer as simple as they used to be. At this time, some of the viewers were bored, so they created a most regrettable actor rankings and asked everyone to vote on who they wanted to see return to the industry. But after 3 days of voting, Tongning ended up at the top of the list. Looking at all of her films, the audience knew the difference between having and not having acting skills. Actresses with acting skills are becoming fewer and fewer. Apart from Luo Sheng, the newcomers that have been released recently haven't caught my eye. As for actresses with acting skills, they're too monotonous. The only one that can truly change their acting skills is Tongning. It's a pity that Tongning isn't acting anymore. I wonder why Tongning was forced to retreat because of an artist that tried to commit suicide. Although Tongning is a professional manager and has managed many good artists, it only takes 1 day for Tongning to become the next Tongning. But for others it may take 10 years. Now that I think about it, it's such a pity. Because of this, I'll vote for her. I hope she returns. This post caused quite a stir. After all, the public had forgotten about the past, and were reminded of how good Tongning was. But Tongning was definitely not going to return to acting. Filming for Purgatory was in full swing. Apart from resting, Tongning spent most of her time discussing special effects with the production team. Apart from that, she spent most of her time at home with her 2 kids. This was a life that she felt was extremely fulfilling. But perhaps because of the appearance of this post, so many people mentioned Tongning, the officials of Survivor quickly announced that it was about to premiere. The director was smart. He knew how to make the most of the opportunity. He would never forget how difficult it was to film this film, and how much contempt he had to endure when he bought the rights to this film. As soon as the news came out, many people were excited, especially the fans. Survivor was an adaptation of a true event. Although the original production team was no longer around, Tongning's main lead remained the same. Even though it had been a long time since the incident, it felt like their anticipation had been temporarily hidden. Their blood immediately boiled. Especially at a time when bad films were running rampant. The arrival of this film was like a blessing to film fans. Perhaps, Tongning had already forgotten that she had filmed such a film. The day after the official announcement, the director personally began to promote the film. He knew it would be impossible to get Tongning to appear on stage. The birth of Survivor has been full of twists and turns. Luckily, it's finally going to be released to the public. The first person I would like to thank is Tongning. Back then, when we were wrapping up the film, it was so difficult, but she still managed to complete it with a professional attitude. Honestly, I am deeply moved by her. This is Tongning's 5th film. I'm not sure if it will be her last. Of course, I hope it won't be. I understand how easy it is for an actress to be forgotten in this industry. You can forget about Tongning, but please don't forget about her goosebump-inducing acting. Survivor is looking forward to seeing everyone. See you next week. The director cleverly mentioned Tongning because he knew it was the best way to promote the film. Although Tongning was no longer an actress, she was still the boss of Superstar Media and her manager. Her popularity had never decreased, so he had to make good use of this. At least, he hoped that the public would pay attention to Survivor and realize that its heart was real. As he did not have a team, the director had no choice but to work alone. Afterwards, he released a 30-second trailer for Survivor on the official website. As soon as it was released, it received over 10 million views in one morning. Fuck, Tongning's acting is really goosebump-inducing. It's so good. I can't wait. I think it's a little scary because it's based on a real event. If this film explodes in the box office, the idiots that once gave up on this film will probably cry themselves to sleep in the toilet. Thank you, director, for saving this film. Of course, since it was Tongning's film, Hai Rui couldn't sit idly by. So, Fong Yu immediately arranged for a professional team to take over the publicity from the director, and instructed all the cinemas to schedule the film. Thinking about it, This could be Tang Ning's last film. The cinemas weren't stupid enough to know that it would explode in popularity. So this time, no one would stop Tang Ning's film from being screened or do anything else. After hearing this news, Tang Ning could only sigh. She had once thought that this movie would be lost forever. Who would have thought it would one day see the light of day again? Today was the fourth day that Lin Qian owed $30 million. No matter how hard she tried, she only managed to gather a few million. Compared to $30 million, it was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. Seeing Lin Qian in such a pitiful state, Xing Lan's chest filled with anger. Did she have to go this far? Did she have to force someone to the brink? Lin Qian was at her wit's end. But at this time, she received a phone call from Li Jin. Come out of the office. I'm downstairs. But I'm busy. Give me 2 hours, Li Jin insisted. Lin Qian assumed that Li Jin didn't know about this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited 4 days for a response. But she was currently in debt, so she didn't want to drag him down. So when Lin Qian arrived downstairs, she originally wanted to reject Li Jin. But she noticed that he wasn't wearing his military uniform, but a black suit. Get in. Where are we going? Lin Qian asked. You'll know when we get there, Li Jin said before he started the car. But Lin Qian quickly realized that Li Jin's route was very familiar. I'm sorry, I think I should pay your adoptive parents a visit. No, you don't know. I know. Li Jin held on to Lin Qian's hand. Return what you owe. Chapter 875. After hearing this, Lin Qian still wanted to struggle, but Li Jin tightened his grip. I won't do this to you. I promise on my military rank. Lin Qian was probably afraid of being hurt, so she resisted like this. But after hearing Li Jin's words, Lin Qian finally let go. We haven't reached that stage yet. Yes, we haven't reached that stage yet. But since it's within my sphere of influence, it's under my control. After saying this, Li Jin let go and continued driving. Lin Qian turned her head and looked at Li Jin's side profile. This tall man had a straight back. He was a soldier and it was his duty to keep his promises. Thinking about it this way, what could be worse than her current situation? As soon as she thought about the $30 million, Lin Qian calmed down. Soon the couple arrived at the Quan family's villa. As soon as the housekeeper saw Lin Qian, he immediately ran over. Second miss, why are you back? After speaking, the housekeeper glanced at the man behind Lin Qian. Are Mr. and Mrs. Quan here? Lin Qian no longer addressed them as parents because there was no need. Mrs. Quan is here, but that's good, Lin Qian said before she gestured to Li Jin, and he immediately walked over to her side. As the two walked towards the living room, they noticed that the Quan family had a guest. As soon as Mother Quan saw Lin Qian return with a man, she was naturally furious. So, she blocked Lin Qian at the door and yelled, What are you doing here? You sure know how to pick the right time. Did the housekeeper tell you that Zai's fiancé is visiting today? Little slut, let me tell you, don't you dare ruin Zai's plans again. Lin Qian did not say a word. Behind her, Li Jin pulled out his phone and recorded what Mother Quan said. If Mrs. Quan continues to speak like this, we won't be able to give you $30 million. And where did this poor rascal come from? Mother Quan yelled at Li Jin. Plus, I'm teaching my daughter a lesson. What does it have to do with you? Mrs. Quan, you can go greet the guests first. We'll settle our debt later. After speaking, Li Jin led Lin Qian to a chair in the garden, and they sat down. All of a sudden, Mother Quan couldn't find fault with Lin Qian, so she turned around and headed back into the living room. Lin Qian felt a little embarrassed and wanted to leave the Quan family home. But Li Jin continued to sit there with his back straight, like he was sitting in front of a military desk, giving off a dignified aura. I want to go. First, you didn't steal, and second, you didn't rob. Why are you embarrassed? It's not my turn, Li Jin replied directly. Li Jin. Leave it to me, Li Jin replied. Lin Qian sighed. She didn't want Li Jin to be humiliated with her, but seeing that Li Jin wasn't angry at all, she relaxed. But she understood Mother Quan. It was obvious that she was going to hold them back and not even allow them to enter the living room. Are you hungry? At a time like this, do you still care about hunger or not? Li Jin did not reply, nor did he show any expression. He only took out his phone and made a call. Half an hour later, two men dressed in military uniforms arrived at the Quan family home. In front of the housekeeper, they delivered some snacks to Li Jin and Lin Qian. The housekeeper froze for a moment before he realized that the two men that arrived with Lin Qian were rich and powerful. His identity was definitely not simple. Mother Quan also heard the commotion outside the door and watched as the two soldiers left. Although she didn't want to believe what she saw, she couldn't deny that Li Jin did indeed look like a military officer. They're my orderlies, Li Jin explained calmly as he picked up his teacup and took a sip. Lin Qian only knew that Li Jin was a soldier, but she had no idea what he did or what his military rank was. Have some. Let's just pretend that we're out for tea. Mother Quan couldn't sit still any longer. She was extremely curious, so she wanted Lin Qian and Li Jin to enter the living room to see how powerful the family she found for Quanzai was. She wanted to humiliate them. So while the housekeeper was busy with the guests, she stepped out of the living room and crossed her arms. Come in. But Li Jin was as steady as a mountain and did not move an inch. Mother Quan turned to look at the two as her brows furrowed. Why aren't you leaving? Are you sure you want me to go in? Li Jin asked. Don't tell me you want me to carry you in? After speaking, Mother Quan entered the living room first. But when she mentioned Lin Qian to the guests, she looked at her with disdain. Afterwards, Li Jin led Lin Qian into the living room. Just as Mother Quan was about to introduce Lin Qian to the higher-ups, the guests all stood up. Major General Li, it's my honor to meet you here. Mother Quan froze in surprise. She never expected that the man that Lin Qian brought home would be a major general. Her future in-laws looked like they were trying to suck up to her. Li Jin led Lin Qian to sit down and said, You guys can continue. We're here to resolve some personal matters. Qian, where's your room? Li Jin's voice was extremely natural and pleasant to the ears. Lin Qian was just as surprised, so she quickly regained her senses. I don't have a room. She knew that Mother Quan had already treated her room like a nanny's room. Where are your belongings? You should have some, right? Lin Qian shook her head. She had probably thrown them all away. Since that's the case, that's even better. Li Jin had no intention of responding to anyone else. The coldness emanating from his body made it impossible for anyone to approach him. But no matter how much Mother Quan gritted her teeth in anger, she still had to admit that Lin Qian had found a very impressive person. The guests knew that Li Jin was here to resolve some personal matters, so they did not dare to keep the Major General waiting. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Mother Quan, they left. Of course, Mother Quan was left feeling extremely awkward. Major General Li, I didn't do it on purpose. Please forgive my rudeness. I'll handle the $30 million. You're asking for too much. Li Jin couldn't be bothered to waste time with Mother Quan, so he got straight to the point. Furthermore, although his tone was not malicious, there was a tinge of impatience in it. Well, Mother Quan was a little embarrassed. I've roughly calculated the amount that Lin Qian has spent on the Quan family over the years. Here is a $3 million check. I hope that from now on she can cut all ties with you, Li Jin said straightforwardly. From now on Lin Qian will be a part of the Li family, and the Li family don't like to get involved with messy people and things. So it's best that we make things clear. Mrs. Quan, while I'm still being reasonable, let's talk things over. Mother Quan did not dare to look into Li Jin's eyes because she felt a strong sense of pressure. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. Chapter 876. From now on, if the Quan family hears even the slightest bit of news about Lin Qian, then the Quan family can forget about staying in Beijing. After speaking, Li Jin did not want to stay any longer as he turned to Lin Qian and asked, Do you have anything else to say? Lin Qian glanced at Mother Quan and shook her head. No. Then let's go. After speaking, Li Jin stood up and handed his hand to Lin Qian. Lin Qian was stunned for a second before she gently shook his hand. The couple turned around and prepared to leave. At this time, Mother Quan couldn't take it anymore as she said to Li Jin's back, I think you should reconsider your relationship with Lin Qian. After all, someone that would seduce her own brother is a bit cheap. But from what I know, your son has always been the one chasing after Qian Qian. Li Jin replied indifferently before he wrapped his arm around Lin Qian's waist and led her out of the Quan family home. Mother Quan's chest heaved up and down in anger, but there was nothing she could do to Lin Qian. After all, Li Jin was a major general. Although the Quan family was rich, they didn't dare to provoke those with power. Unless, like Li Jin said, they didn't want to stay in Beijing any longer. But Lin Qian had actually found such a good backing. How could she accept that? Of course, although Li Jin's actions were similar to most pretentious men, he did it because women liked him. So Lin Qian was no exception. The couple leaned against each other intimately as Li Jin did not let go of Lin Qian's waist. At this time, Quanzai drove into the Quan family home. As soon as he stepped out of the car and saw the couple, his eyes flashed with surprise. But they quickly turned into fearlessness. Have you decided to leave the Quan family? Yes, Lin Qian nodded. I've been disgusted for a long time. Don't tell me you're disgusted with me too? Faced with Quanzai's probing words, Lin Qian did not respond. Instead, Li Jin answered for her. After all these years, you still haven't been able to protect Qian Qian. It's obvious that you should be disgusted too. After speaking, Li Jin led Lin Qian out of the Quan family home and boarded his car. From now on, they no longer had anything to do with the Quan family. Thank you. Lin Qian couldn't help but say. I still have something to do. I'll send you home. I didn't break the promise of 2 hours. Li Jin's expression was cold. He didn't say anything extra to stir up her emotions. He couldn't say those words anyway. Lin Qian nodded her head. From the moment she entered the Quan family to the moment she left, her emotions were extremely complicated. Now, she just wanted to calm down. I'll be in the army for the next 3 days. Then how do I contact you? Lin Qian asked. There's no need to contact me. I'll come back when the time comes. After speaking, Li Jin dropped Lin Qian off at the front of her home and drove off, quickly disappearing from her sight. In reality, Lin Qian actually wanted to remind him to pay attention to his wound, because he had previously suffered a gunshot wound. For some reason, as soon as Li Jin left, Lin Qian felt her sense of security disappear. Was it because he was a soldier that she subconsciously trusted and relied on him? They had only known each other for such a short period of time. Li Jin was too scary. Quan family. As soon as Quanzai returned home, Mother Quan immediately approached him. When did Lin Qian climb up the social ladder? Didn't you notice at all? That's her freedom. Quanzai replied as he headed for the bedroom. The Major General threatened your mother that if she mentioned Lin Qian again, she could forget about having a foothold in Beijing. It turned out, after all these years, he hadn't been able to protect Lin Qian because he had never treated her with this attitude from the beginning. But Li Jin could do it. That's great. After speaking, Quanzai entered his room and closed the door. His world finally returned to peace. It was time for the name Lin Qian to completely disappear from his world. After returning home, Lin Qian told Xinglan about how Li Jin resolved the $30 million. After hearing this, Xinglan was shocked. She couldn't believe her ears. Was this really her cousin that was like a monk? He's quite something. He has so many tricks up his sleeves. Why are the uncles worried that he won't find a wife? How would I know? Lin Qian shrugged. But I don't know how to repay him after owing him such a big favor, and the $3 million. If you repay him with your body, everything will be written off, Xinglan laughed. Hey, don't forget, Xia Hanmo is returning to China today. Ning Jie asked you to pick her up. Oh God, I almost forgot. Lin Qian quickly stood up and packed her things before leaving Xinglan's home. At this time, Survivor had already gained a lot of popularity thanks to Hai Rui's promotion. In terms of anticipation, it was ranked first. But Emoting did not stop there. Considering that there was still some time before the film was released, Emoting asked someone to write a song with a story, and handed it to Xinglan to sing. It was the theme song for Survivor. As soon as Xinglan received this news, she was ecstatic. After all, to be able to appear on the same screen as Tongning made her feel proud. So, as soon as she received the song, Xinglan headed straight for the recording studio. She couldn't help with anything else, but singing the best theme song was the best way to pay tribute to Tongning's film. This time, there was no longer anyone trying to gain points, no one was viciously competing with each other, no one was pressuring the film, and no one was doubting or condemning the film. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, but this time the person missing was Tongning. The director worked hard to promote Survivor, and the film's fans were fully immersed in it. But at this time, Tongning was working with the production team to overcome some technical difficulties with the special effects. 2 days before the film's release, the director contacted Tongning through Mo Ting. I know this industry has hurt you a lot and you've been misunderstood by countless people. But for the sake of your final film, can you attend the premiere as an actress? Show me what a movie queen should be like. Enjoy the defeated faces of those who once laughed at you. Tongning did not respond. Don't be in a hurry to reject me. I will reserve a seat for you. I look forward to your appearance. Tongning did not respond, nor did she nod her head. She no longer felt there was a need. She was still working for the film industry. There were some things that she once cared about, but now, she felt that she was more willing to spend her time on special effects. At least with Survivor, there would be an even more amazing film in the future. Purgatory. Chapter 877. At this moment, Tongning had lost interest in face slapping. She was well aware of her capabilities and where she stood. So, no matter how the director tried to persuade her, she had no intention of attending the event. That night, Hyatt Regency was unusually warm. As Tongning was pregnant, the responsibility of carrying the kids fell onto Daddy Ting's shoulders. As she watched the tall and strong man drag the 2 troublemakers into the shower, Tongning's heart melted. Mo Ting had always been familiar with things like this. To a certain extent, it reflected how well he played the role of a husband and father during Tongning's pregnancy and birth. No matter how cold-blooded and heartless he was on the outside, when he was at home, he was able to put down his identity and take good care of Tongning and her son. Why don't you want to attend the premiere of Survivor? Tongning handed Mo Ting a towel and watched as he carried the 2 troublemakers. She smiled and replied, "There's not much point in me going." After hearing this, Mo Ting did not say a word. But he still felt that Tongning's performance in Survivor was worthy of another Fei Tian award. So he decided to submit the film to the judging panel. I heard that Xiao Sun is interested in recommending an actress for Purgatory. What did you guys discuss in the end? I gave in. Tongning shrugged. Tongning shrugged her shoulders. Every time she tried to argue, Xiao Sun would use her rejection to make an issue out of it. So after a while, Tongning had no choice but to let him be. After all, it wasn't like she could find any good actors. Will you have emotional scenes with me? Mo Ting turned and looked deeply into Tongning's eyes. Tongning froze for a moment before she nodded her head. Yes. You're not jealous? Yes, Tongning replied. But I will always believe in you. Mo Ting turned around and said to Tongning as he helped his son bathe, "You're enough for me. When you've confirmed the actress, let me know in advance. I'll get Lu Che to do some research." Okay, Tongning nodded. Tongning thought she could tolerate this level of jealousy. But when the day actually came, she would realize that she couldn't stand it when others looked at Mo Ting with admiration. Xia Hanmo returned to China. He brought along his travel notes and photos and published them in a travel magazine. This time, Xia Hanmo's return to China was no longer as chaotic as before, and she no longer had to hide. It had been a long time since she breathed in the freshest air in Beijing. However, although it was close to midnight, there were still fans at the airport who recognized Xia Hanmo. After seeing her take off her sunglasses, he immediately ran up to her to take a photo. Xia Hanmo tensed up. She thought it was another anti-fan trying to cause trouble for her, but the woman smiled at her in a friendly manner. "Xia Hanmo, I really like your photos. Your writing is really good." Xia Hanmo was flattered. Although she knew that her situation had been reversed, it was her first time being praised like this. Then Xia Hanmo dropped her disguise and took a photo with the man. Lin Qian stood at the exit of the airport. As soon as she saw Xia Hanmo surrounded by a few fans, she immediately approached her. Ningjie told me to come pick you up. I'll take you home to get some rest. After boarding the car, Xia Hanmo said to Lin Qian, I've never met such a friendly fan before. Who told you to be an anti-fan in the past? Xia Hanmo laughed as she looked out the window. This is all thanks to Ningjie. She helped me find myself. After speaking, Xia Hanmo pulled out a business card and handed it to Lin Qian. This man's name is Zhou Qing. He's the host of a travel adventure show and is currently missing a regular guest. He wants me to go because he knows that I have a lot of travel experience. When did you meet him? I bumped into him in Europe, Xia Hanmo replied. I want to give it a try. Are you asking Ningjie to help you look into Zhou Qing's background? Lin Qian asked. Don't worry, I'll let Ningjie know. Superstar Media is very supportive of their artists developing freely. Xia Hanmo nodded her head, but she was still thinking about the photo she took with the fan earlier. It turned out, she could actually be liked by others. Of course, Tongning was the one that pointed out the correct path for her development. By the way, I saw the trailer for Survivor overseas. Netizens seem to have high expectations for the film, so I looked through the comments and discovered that Ningjie has a large group of fans overseas. That's because of Ningjie's previous films. All of them have been extremely popular overseas, Lin Qian explained. Regardless, because of Luo Sheng's incident, Ningjie told us to take good care of the two of you. Especially when discussing resources, she told us not to give the outside world a chance to hurt you. I heard about Luo Sheng's incident. But he's lucky because Ningjie is protecting him. Lin Qian smiled as she escorted Xia Hanmo home. Afterwards, she returned to Xinglan's apartment. But for some reason, when she saw the police on the streets, she naturally thought of Li Jin. All she knew was that Li Jin was a major general, but she had no idea what type of soldier he was. Plus, she had a feeling that Li Jin wouldn't tell her. Back at the apartment, Xinglan approached Xia Hanmo sneakily and said, I told Uncle about my cousin's incident. I'm sure you'll be able to see them soon. You. Don't be afraid. I think they're easy to get along with. Lin Qian was a little confused. Her relationship with Li Jin hadn't even taken shape yet Xinglan had already told his parents about it. She couldn't accept it. It was too fast. Ningjie and President Mo got married the first time they met. You've already wasted so much time. Lin Qian was speechless. But, even if she wanted to contact Li Jin, it was too late. But Lin Qian was a little too worried because Li Jin's parents did not show up. In fact, Li Jin, who promised to return in 3 days, did not show up either. Lin Qian didn't think that Li Jin didn't keep his promise. She simply felt that Li Jin had gotten hurt again. As soon as Li Jin disappeared, it was the night before the premiere of Survivor. Although Tongning wasn't going to attend the premiere, Lin Qian and Xinglan still made plans to go watch a film together. It wasn't easy for them to get their hands on the tickets, so they couldn't let them go to waste. But Xinglan's manager prevented Lin Qian from going. In the end, Lin Qian was left on her own with 2 tickets in her pocket. She originally wanted to go on her own, but when she got downstairs, she spotted Li Jin. Li Jin did not say a word as he opened the car door. Lin Qian did not ask as she boarded the car. Watch a film? Watch Survivor. Do you like watching movies? Lin Qian asked. I don't. But isn't it based on a real event? I also participated in this rescue mission. Li Jin's voice was still cold as he replied. Chapter 878. I am a major general in the Air Force, Li Jin replied. The area where the plane crashed wasn't too far from the military base. This topic was a little heavy. Lin Qian suddenly didn't know how to respond. But at least she and Li Jin had something in common. I have high expectations for my actors. So, if their acting isn't up to standard, I may leave halfway through. Ningjie's films will never disappoint. Tongning's acting was so good that Lin Qian could speak with confidence no matter where she went. Lin Qian originally thought Li Jin was going to refute, but he simply turned his head and looked straight ahead. Obviously, he could tell that Lin Qian admired Tongning. I was delayed on a mission. So he didn't stand her up on purpose. I can understand if it's just a delay. But what if you never make it back? Lin Qian asked as she turned to ask Li Jin. Li Jin did not say a word. This was the problem between the two. No matter how strong Lin Qian's heart was, she didn't want her partner to live a dangerous life. Tonight was the premiere of Survivor. Although it wasn't a public screening, plenty of celebrities turned up to show their support. It was said that Mo Ting did not inform any of his artists before they attended the premiere. They wanted to see Tang Ning's acting again. As a result, Beijing's mainstream media, film critics, experienced filmmakers and many other special groups attended. As for the director, who was sitting in the first row, he had reserved a seat for Tang Ning. He was confident that she would make an appearance. But the entire theater was packed. From the first minute of the film to the end, every time Tang Ning created a climax, people would subconsciously look towards the empty seat. Unfortunately, Tang Ning did not make an appearance. The entire film lasted 136 minutes. During it, not a single person left the restroom, and no one discussed the plot in private. They simply sighed, especially after the film ended. Tang Ning was a genius. No matter what she acted in, she was always able to get it right. Even Li Jin, who had high expectations for his acting, did not leave halfway through. Instead, after watching the entire film with Lin Qian, he said, "I can't tell the difference between her and the survivor I saw at the time." Li Jin had the most right to speak, because he had participated in the rescue mission. Since he said this, it was obvious that Survivor was a success. After the premiere, various reviews began to appear on the internet. Of course, while they lamented the impermanence of life, they also felt it was a pity that such a talented actor would end his acting career in Survivor. Meanwhile, when Tang Ning was filming Survivor, the conditions were still so harsh. Is there anyone that can convince Tang Ning to return to the film industry? Tang Ning, please save our polluted eyes. Tang Ning is too precious. With her acting skills, even if she were to kill someone, I would still forgive her. Tang Ning did not appear at the premiere. It's clear to see how determined she is to distance herself from being an actress. Tang Ning did not appear at the premiere. It was as if the movie had nothing to do with her. The film was so exciting. It's a pity Ning Jie didn't get to witness it in person. On the way home, Lin Qian sighed. Although Ning Jie is still involved in the film industry, it's still very different from her acting. Without her, it feels like something's missing. Everyone has their own choices. Although Li Jin wasn't good at comforting people, this was the truth. By the way, my parents already know of your existence. Exclamation point. Lin Qian was surprised. Li Jin knew that she still needed a long time to recover, so he comforted her. They can still wait for now. But, I want to know why you are rejecting them. I'm not prepared. For a woman, meeting your parents has a different meaning, Lin Qian replied. There's another reason. I don't think we're at that stage yet. I really don't know anything about you. For example, if you say you'll be back in 3 days but I don't see you. Apart from waiting, I have no idea what to do. Lin Qian's question was very realistic. She thought that Li Jin would give up. But Li Jin simply said, "From now on, I will try my best to find someone to bring you news." Lin Qian nodded her head in agreement. She had always thought that Li Jin was boring and inflexible. He was exactly like how Xinglan described him, a monk. But Li Jin had changed her opinion of him over and over again. Li Jin was actually very hardworking in his life. Plus, from the way he watched his films, it was obvious that he wasn't the typical rough and burly man that others thought he was. He had high standards for everything. Actually, the thing that made her feel the most at ease was that Li Jin was a determined person that didn't give up easily. Otherwise, when faced with a huge gap, the first thing he would think of would be to give up, instead of slowly improving and getting closer to her. Actually, getting along with this man wasn't tiring at all. Soon, it was time for Survivor to be released into the public. Using the excuse that it was Tang Ning's last film, the film successfully earned a shocking box office. On the first day of release, it broke $300 million. Although everyone expected the movie to be a hit, they didn't expect it to be this popular. Tang Ning's acting was immediately praised by the netizens as a god. But, even so, Tang Ning continued to disappear without showing her face. It was like she was using her silence to look down on the people that once looked down on her. Tongning will make a comeback sooner or later. Just wait and see. Her film is a hit. If she doesn't make a comeback now, how long are she going to wait? A netizen commented. Although Tongning has moved behind the scenes and created superstar media, I still feel that her ambition isn't limited to this. I hope that when I wake up tomorrow, I can see Tongning announcing her comeback or attending an event. Unfortunately, they wouldn't be able to see anything the next day. Tongning was currently living in seclusion, so even the paparazzi didn't get a chance to take photos of her. TSK, there aren't many good films this year. Survivor is the only one that Tongning is guaranteed to win the Best Actress award. When that time comes, will she still not make a comeback? I refuse to believe it. Tongning was aware of the public's reaction, but she was no longer the Tongning that she was. Xiaosun also took the opportunity to watch the film. After returning to the studio, he was even more determined to get Tongning to appear in his film. But Tongning was more stubborn than him. So what could he do? Plus, he wasn't strong enough on his own. Chapter 879. Xiaosun's only hope was President Mo. After all, Tongning's contract was in Mo Ting's hands. So he turned to look for Mo Ting, hoping that he could convince Tongning to act as the female lead of Purgatory. If it was anyone else, he wouldn't want to continue with the production. I'm sorry, Director Chiao. I think I'll have to reject you. Mo Ting replied politely. Because my wife is pregnant, she still has the energy to focus on behind-the-scenes work. But when it comes to action scenes, she has no choice. Xiaosun was a little surprised. He never expected that Tongning would reject him because of this reason. Hayes, what a pity. Although Xiaosun wasn't willing to give up, since Mo Ting had already said it, he had no choice but to give up. Luckily, Mo Ting was there to comfort him. Since that's the case, I can only wish Tongning the best. Mo Ting nodded his head. Mo Ting gently nodded his head. There was no way he would let Tongning risk her life for the sake of a film, nor would Tongning agree to it. After all, she desperately wanted to have another daughter. After Xiaosun left, Lu Che looked at Mo Ting for quite some time before he suggested, President, the madam hasn't watched Survivor yet, has she? Should we make arrangements? No need, I know what to do. I'll take her there. Mo Ting replied before he continued to look at the documents in front of him. Late at night, Mo Ting returned home and helped Tongning coax the two babies to sleep. He then helped her find a set of comfortable clothes to change into. Let's go out in a bit. What about the kids? Mom will come over and help take care of them, Mo Ting replied. Tongning nodded her head and quickly changed into her clothes. The couple dressed casually and kept a low profile. No one expected that Mo Ting would bring Tongning straight to the theater. In fact, they chose the hall with the most people and entered without anyone noticing. Needless to say, Tongning knew that Mo Ting had brought her to watch Survivor. In fact, only a theater like this could truly experience the atmosphere of the film. Soon, the theater was filled with film fans and the attendance was extremely high. As Tongning sat in the middle, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Now that you're here, you are just an ordinary member of the audience. Relax. Hearing Mo Ting's comforting words, Tongning nodded her head and slowly calmed down. After a 10-minute advertisement, the movie officially began. In fact, this feeling was very strange. Looking at herself on the screen, appearing in front of the camera, she felt that the more she looked at her, the more she felt that she was not herself, but a stranger. Needless to say, the director's skills were amazing. Although the incident with Su Xian had happened, the film was not affected at all. For a total of 136 minutes, everyone was immersed in the movie and had a lot of feelings. Most of the audience were touched by the film. But as the film ended, they felt the words stuck in their throats. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't say them. In the end, they could only say, Tongning's acting is godly. The other sentence that he said the most was, don't ever take a plane again. It's traumatizing. After the movie ended, the lights in the theater came back on. Because Tongning and Mo Ting were wearing masks, They were even more eye-catching. Look, those two are celebrities, right? Maybe. I can't see clearly with the mask on. At this time, Tongning and Emoting had no idea that they were being watched. At this time, Emoting wrapped his arm around Tongning and said, "Let's go." Tongning nodded her head. Just as they were about to walk down the stairs, a member of the audience suddenly pounced on them and screamed, "Tongning, it's Tongning." Her long legs immediately revealed her identity. Emoting held Tongning tightly in his arms, but more and more fans began to surround them. "Tongning, did you also come to watch the film that you starred in? Tongning, your acting was amazing. Can you sign an autograph for us?" "Sorry, please let us out first. We don't want to disrupt the normal order of the theater," Tongning said as she removed her mask. The audience expressed their understanding as they turned to leave. But every now and then, they would look back in fear that Tongning would run away. But since Tongning had already made a promise, she was going to do it. Emoting continued to separate the audience from Tongning. But it seemed he had underestimated the woman's current status in the entertainment industry. Not long after, the few floors of the mall were filled with people. At the entrance of the mall, Tongning finally stopped in her tracks. She remained in Emoting's arms as she turned around and bowed to everyone. "Thank you for supporting Survivor. Survivor will be my last film as an actress. I hope everyone will enjoy it." In the past, rumors had it that Survivor was Tongning's last film, and everyone still held on to their fantasies. Who would have thought that it would actually come from her mouth today? Strangely, the actress Tongning and her manager Tongning were like two different people. One was reserved and the other was sharp. It was hard for people to equate the two. After all, as her manager, Tongning could go against everyone. "Tongning, come back. Your acting is amazing." "That's right, we're all your fans. We all know that you've suffered a lot because of Su Xian's incident. Tongning, don't give up on us, Tongning." Everyone began to speak from the bottom of their hearts. It seemed this was the first time someone had chased after an actress like this and asked her to continue acting. This was all because she was a 1 in 100 talented actress. Emoting understood that Tongning was in a difficult position, so he wrapped his arm around her shoulder and patted her gently. "Let's go. Tongning, please don't be sad. I am just an artist. Give me some time. I will use another method to bring you a miracle. Wait for me." After speaking, Tongning boarded the car under Emoting's protection, and the couple quickly disappeared from view. "Hayes, at least this is better than not leaving a single trace of hope. Tongning, we will always be waiting for you." Su Xian's incident hurt Tongning so much that she decided to become a manager. She wanted to help artists that were experiencing ups and downs in the industry. However, no one could save Tongning from her disappointment in the industry. She must be tired from fighting all the way here. Give her some time to rest, and she will definitely come back. On the way home, Tongning did not say a word. Emoting turned and looked at her. He asked gently, "What are you thinking about?" "Today, I may be so important in their hearts, but I will soon be forgotten." Hearing this, Emoting couldn't help but laugh. "Why should I care about others? As long as you are always important in my heart, that's enough. Don't worry, I will come back." Chapter 880. Tongning's appearance at the mall quickly spread throughout Beijing. In the eyes of the public, they may have thought that Tongning was sincerely trying to keep an actress. But in the eyes of industry insiders, Tongning simply didn't know how to appreciate kindness. Actually, the phrase "fans are fickle" was a phrase that artists often said. So in the eyes of the industry insiders, Tongning's actions seemed like she was acting too much. But after watching the film, Tongning did not appear in front of the public again. So it wasn't because she was trying to gain attention like everyone thought. How did it feel to watch your own film? Inside the studio, Xiao Sun asked Tongning. He wanted to know if Tongning felt that she was invincible like the other actors. "If I had to act again, I could do even better," Tongning replied as she propped herself up on her arms. After hearing this, Xiao Sun laughed. "You're indeed the same as me." They were both perfectionists. "I've already decided on the actress. Since you're not destined to get the role, I chose an overseas actress, Xiaosun said as he handed Tongning some information. She's a French actress. She's pretty good in every aspect. Tongning received the information, but she did not immediately respond. I'll take this back for reference. No problem. Xiaosun nodded. There's one more thing I'd like to ask your opinion on. Tongning paused for a few seconds as she looked at the model on the programmer's computer. She then suddenly said to Xiaosun, I want to change the name of the film. Purgatory is too abstract and lacks appeal. Okay, what do you want to change? Xiaosun asked. The Ant Queen. After hearing this, Xiaosun immediately imagined a scene of ants the size of a house flying over his head. It would be a very exciting scene, so he nodded his head. Okay, the Ant Queen sounds more like a sci-fi film. Let's do it that way then. Not bad, things are finally on track. I hope this film will officially hit the screens in 2 years. 2 years. Xia Hanmo was perhaps the most difficult of all of Tongning's artists to make a comeback. After all, she no longer worked in the mainstream industry. After returning from overseas, Xia Hanmo appeared on a number of magazines, and the public's evaluation of her continued to improve. This gave Xia Hanmo a new hope in life. After all, she was responsible for her brother's high living expenses. Lin Qian had already done her research on Zhou Qing and discovered that he was indeed the best host in the country. So Xia Hanmo treasured this opportunity. Under Lin Qian's protection, she finally managed to meet Zhou Qing in person. Zhou Qing was in his mid-30s. He had an elegant appearance and a humorous personality. As a result, he was well received in the industry. But this time, the news was shocking. He was going to partner with Xia Hanmo. Wasn't he worried about Xia Hanmo's dark red physique? But because of Tongning, whenever people mentioned Xia Hanmo, they would feel extra pity for her. Hanmo, with me here, you don't need to worry about anything. The production team will definitely do their best to take care of you. Zhou Qing comforted Xia Hanmo during the meeting, gesturing that she didn't need to worry. Xia Hanmo was comforted and nodded. Don't worry, I will do my best. You have so many years of work experience. I believe you can do it. Besides, you are so good at traveling. Xia Hanmo smiled shyly. The entire meeting was a little more relaxed because Zhou Qing was especially good at controlling the situation and creating an atmosphere. Afterwards, Lin Qian left with Xia Hanmo. At this time, the director asked Zhou Qing to stay behind for a private chat. Zhou Qing, The Big Adventure, is about to change hosts and you are about to leave the television station. Why did you choose Xia Hanmo as your partner for the final season? Zhou Qing smiled as he tapped his fingers on the table. You and I both know what my replacement is capable of. We are all mentally prepared for what The Big Adventure will become. If the station wants to get rid of me after I've outlived my usefulness, I have no problem with that. But I want to help Xia Hanmo as a form of respect for Tongning. I'm surprised that an actor would rely on his own meager abilities to change the unfair situation in the industry. That's why I want to help Xia Hanmo before I leave. This child's literary talent and ability are outstanding. Unfortunately, she's been placed in the wrong place. After hearing this, the director sighed. The station head is too much. The Big Adventure went from a small program to the king of the ratings because of you. Now that his brother is back, he doesn't even have to do anything for you. Instead, he's trying to steal all of your hard work. He's so shameless. Zhou Qing continued to smile without saying a word. Of course, with your status, I'm not worried that you won't be able to find a good place to go. Since you've spoken, I will take good care of Xia Hanmo. Thank you, director. There are still many good people in this world. The director patted Zhou Qing on the shoulder and sighed before he left the room. Meanwhile, Zhou Qing looked at the spot where Xia Hanmo was sitting and did not say a word. After hearing about Xia Hanmo's good news, Tongning was also happy for her. Of course, as Xia Hanmo's boss, apart from congratulating her, Tongning also gave her a lot of advice. After all, the variety industry was a completely new field. To enter this industry, one needed a good host to lead them. Xia Hanmo was very lucky. I'm lucky because I met you, Xia Hanmo sighed. I'm lucky that I found Superstar Media. Thank you, Tongning. Don't be in a rush to thank me. Focus on learning from Zhou Qing. He has a good reputation in the industry and is a good person, Tongning reminded. Hanmo, you need to remember that you are a part of superstar media. We are bound together for good and bad. I still have work to do, so I can help share some of your pressure. But I may not appear in front of the public for the next 2 years. You need to take advantage of this opportunity. Don't worry. If I can't live a good life after being reborn, then I would have wasted my life, Xia Hanmo replied. As a result, Xia Hanmo's future was almost on par with Xinglan and Luo Sheng's. As soon as Mo Ting heard Tongning on the phone, he hugged her from behind and whispered in her ear. Today, the higher-ups at Hai Rui were asking why Tongning only brought 3 artists with her. The fact that I've brought 3 artists to the top is enough to make those that rely on their background feel ashamed. Just like you guys said, the industry is big and my abilities are limited. But I can give confidence to those that are currently being pressured. Luo Sheng and the others happen to be in variety shows. One is an actress and the last one is a singer. They have all kinds of talents. In the future, whether or not I sign another artist will depend on fate. By the way, your female lead has already been confirmed. She is a sexy goddess. Tongning said with a hint of jealousy. Oh. Mo Ting raised an eyebrow. Chapter 881. As a domestically produced sci-fi film, Xiao Sun felt it was a shame that he couldn't choose a local actress. But in the current entertainment industry, there were very few actresses that were good at acting and had a good image. So he had no choice but to choose a French actress. Soon, the French actress arrived in Beijing. Tongning and Xiao Sun also met the multi-award-winning Best Actress. Her figure and appearance were top-notch. Plus, foreign women exuded a sense of elegance and sexiness. This actress' name was Kate, and she was a stunner. When foreign actors came to Beijing to film, there were a lot of requirements and restrictions. So Xiao Sun and Tongning were already prepared for this. But when Kate's manager came up with a long list of requirements, Xiao Sun was a little shocked. It was just a film, yet there were professional requirements for makeup. This, in the end, Tongning couldn't take it anymore. So she turned to Xiao Sun and said, I'm not feeling well. Sorry to trouble you. Xiao Sun knew that Tongning wasn't feeling well, so he quickly dealt with Kate and followed her out. He then asked, Are you wondering why we can't give the opportunity to a local actor and waste our money? Tongning remained silent for a few seconds before she nodded her head. But we don't have a choice, Xiao Sun shrugged. Listen to me. We need Kate. Tongning took a deep breath and did not say another word. The 2 men returned to the hotel together and prepared to continue negotiating with Kate's manager. I'm really interested in your culture, especially your handsome men. Kate said in fluent English. I hope we can work well together. As long as it was in the entertainment industry, regardless of whether it was in China or overseas, the environment was always the same. Of course, the behavior of actors varied. When it came to work, Kate was extremely professional. But of course in private, she was a little playful, but it wasn't a big problem. Even so, Tongning still felt a strong sense of danger from the bottom of her heart. But for the time being, it was better to wait and see. Xia Hanmo signed a contract with The Big Adventure and joined the cast of regular guests. In fact, within the industry, no one had high hopes for Xia Hanmo. They all felt that Zhou Qing was crazy for hiring a famous actress to host a variety show. But until Zhou Qing left, he still had the right to choose his partner. This was one of the conditions that he agreed to stay at the station, and it still stood. The Big Adventure currently had a lineup of 3 hosts and 3 guests. Each episode would take on a different mission challenge in a different place. Because every segment of the show was a combination of local characteristics, the show's viewership ratings had always been very high in the country. This was because the show was very attentive and ingenious. Moreover, whether it was the guests or the host, they all had a deep foundation in comedy. For a variety show, this was not an easy feat, of course. Filming required outdoor locations. So both Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian had to pack up and move around with the production crew. As a result, filming lasted for around a week. Lin Qian thought to herself, Since Li Jin was already busy, and she wasn't on a regular schedule, there shouldn't be much hope between the two of them. So before she and Xia Hanmo left Beijing, she did not tell Li Jin. She simply gave Tongning a phone call. Luckily, the filming location was located in a mountainous area with ethnic minorities, and did not take them overseas. Unfortunately, it was raining as they entered the mountainous area. Xia Hanmo was undoubtedly a newcomer. So out of all the guests, apart from Zhou Qing, no one had a good impression of her. This was obvious from the way the managers treated them. They treated them half-heartedly and didn't even look them in the eye. Because of the limited conditions in the mountainous area, the crew couldn't stay in a 5-star hotel like they did in Beijing. So they could only stay at a guest house. The director and Zhou Qing had discussed this beforehand. So they arranged the worst room for one of the singers. In reality, the only difference was that it was a lot more humid than the other rooms. However, after the singer found out about it, she didn't seem to be picky on the surface. But in private, she went to look for Xia Hanmo and said, "Sister Xia, I don't really like living in a humid place, so can we swap rooms? I tend to get eczema." Xia Hanmo had no choice but to nod her head. "Okay." Lin Qian glared at Xia Hanmo. "I simply didn't look at you for a bit, and you gave up your room. You've wasted Zhou Ji's efforts." "It's not a big deal," Xia Hanmo laughed. Xia Hanmo laughed. "As long as they listen to me during the recording, I can still give them the room." "It's too humid." Lin Qian furrowed her brows. "I have an idea." After speaking, Xia Hanmo went to find some lime and scattered it around the room. "It's very effective. I can't stand you." Lin Qian shook her head and headed into the bathroom to wash up. At this time, Zhou Qing suddenly knocked on the couple's room door. Xia Hanmo did not expect Zhou Qing to show up. She simply noticed that his expression didn't seem right. "Zhou Gu, why did you give up your room? The location of the room is related to tomorrow's game. If you decide on your own, it will affect the staff's rest time, because they will need time to adjust. Since the guest suggested it, you should think of a way to resolve it. There's no end to giving up." Xia Hanmo was a little surprised, but she lowered her head and accepted his advice. "Sorry, I didn't know any better. I'm being strict with you because you need to grow up. Tongning's artists shouldn't be like this." After speaking, Zhou Qing turned and left. Xia Hanmo was left dumbfounded. If Zhou Qing had scolded her, she would have gladly accepted it. But Zhou Qing's last sentence sounded like he was questioning her. After hearing their conversation, Lin Qian patted Xia Hanmo on the shoulder. "You don't need to do anything right now. That's the right thing to do. But, you need to understand that the show is also a small place. Don't be so easily fooled." Xia Hanmo nodded her head. The next morning, everyone was having breakfast at the guest house. But Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian arrived late. Everyone looked at the two women, including Zhou Qing. "Why are you so late?" Xia Hanmo shook her head and explained. "The room is a little humid. When I woke up this morning, I noticed a lot of bugs. I was afraid that everyone would be scared, so I asked the owner of the guest house to inspect the place. That's why I'm late." "Yes, I was scared to death last night. I even touched one." The guests immediately responded as they looked at Xia Hanmo gratefully. "Hurry and sit down," Zhou Qing said after hearing this. Xia Hanmo didn't do this to please her artists. She simply wanted them to feel a little guilty before they asked her for help. Chapter 882. After breakfast, it was time for the show's recording. At this time, Lin Qian had some free time. So she pulled out her phone and saw a message from Li Jin. "Where are you?" Lin Qian thought for a moment and casually told Li Jin where she was because she didn't think he'd show up. Afterwards, Li Jin did not reply and Lin Qian did not continue to contact him. Due to various reasons, the relationship between the two did not seem to progress. Being busy was a big deal for both of them, especially for Li Jin. Because of his special job, he couldn't be by Lin Qian's side all the time. So Lin Qian did not have high expectations. "Xia Hanmo, what's wrong with you? Do you know how to play games? How are the guests supposed to record if you're like this?" While Lin Qian was in a daze, the recording was interrupted. This was because Xia Hanmo accidentally knocked the guest to the ground as she was finishing up a game. Because of the rain, they had no choice but to move indoors. But the space was limited. Of course, this was what the artist said. But Lin Qian did not think so. After all, it was easy to tell that she was being wrongly accused. All in all, Xia Hanmo spent the rest of the day being put in a difficult position by the artists. As she was a regular guest, she couldn't vent her anger on her artist. So she endured it all the way. Everyone could tell, but they seemed to have come to an agreement and did not expose her. Instead, they took turns to bully Xia Hanmo and treated her like a business partner. Zhou Qing observed everything. From his point of view, to be a good host, tolerance was a must. A qualified host must first deal with his emotions after encountering a problem, before he could deal with the matter properly. Otherwise, it would only worsen the situation and make things worse. After the day was over, Lin Qian looked at Xia Hanmo and shook her head. Do you plan to continue to be bullied like this? Of course not. Xia Hanmo shook her head. Xia Hanmo shook her head. I need to find their respective weaknesses in order to make them obedient. Oh, you're finally acting like Ning Jie's artist, Lin Qian laughed. But it's raining heavily right now. No wonder this place is so damp. Be prepared to be bitten by mosquitoes tonight. Are you still afraid of being bitten when you're with me? Xia Hanmo shook her head as she mysteriously went to prepare a few things. As expected, Lin Qian slept exceptionally well that night. The next morning, practically every artist had traces of being bitten by mosquitoes. But only Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian were completely fine. Are there no mosquitoes in your rooms? I don't think so, Lin Qian shrugged. Hanmo seems to be good at dealing with things like this. Everyone looked at Lin Qian speechless. He couldn't possibly be begging for help after bullying someone yesterday, right? Not only that, she's a walking encyclopedia, Lin Qian emphasized. Xia Hanmo didn't say anything and just accepted everyone's surprised and doubtful gazes. But at that moment, the owner of the homestay suddenly walked in and said to everyone, "Hurry up and think of a way to leave this place. The rain is too heavy, there might be a flood." As soon as they heard about the flood, everyone froze. They were all waiting to see each other's reactions. At this time, Zhou Qing said to the director, "We need to move as soon as possible. We can't risk everyone's lives." "Okay, let's return to our rooms and pack up. We'll meet in the parking lot at 8:30 a.m. Nothing as serious as this had happened during filming, so everyone packed their things and prepared to leave. But the owner of the homestay suddenly received a phone call from the police, saying that the road out of the mountain had been destroyed by the flood, and that they couldn't leave immediately. What should we do now? Everyone was in a panic. "Let's go higher up," Xia Hanmo suggested. "Are you crazy? It's raining so heavily. I don't want to be covered in dirt," one of the artists protested. "That's right. If we don't go out, can't we just stay here and wait?" Very soon, the river not far from the homestay is going to rise. In fact, it's going to rise explosively. Haven't you guys seen a mountain flood before? The impact and destruction are terrifying, Xia Hanmo explained. "Director, I suggest we move on foot." "That. Let's listen to her," Zhou Qing suddenly said. "Zhouge, there's no need. You may think that there's no need, but if an accident happens, it's guaranteed. Who here can survive in the jungle on their own? Who can dive deep into the ocean and take pictures with whales? Only Xia Hanmo can do it. So you have no say in this matter. Follow her." Because of the show's forceful approach, the artists had no choice but to follow along no matter how unwilling they were. Along the way, complaints filled the air as everyone cursed at Xia Hanmo. Someone couldn't even walk anymore, so she sat on the ground and complained, "I'm not going. The flood is coming. Let's just wash me away." Lin Qian. Xia Hanmo glanced at Lin Qian. Obviously, she wanted her to help her. The two of them walked up to help her up. After all, this wasn't the time to throw a tantrum. Everyone continued to climb up a flight of stairs. Because it was steep, many people couldn't handle it. "Xia Hanmo, for the sake of a good performance, you're willing to do anything. You're a drama queen. No wonder you're black and red. I hope you stay black and red for the rest of your life." Along the way, one of the artists continued to curse. But at this time, A loud bang was heard from the other side of the valley. In an instant, the water rushed towards a low-lying area. Everyone watched as the muddy mud covered the entire place, and their legs turned to jelly. At this moment, no one scolded Xia Hanmo anymore. Wave after wave of muddy water came crashing down, scaring everyone into running for their lives. Their lives were indeed more important. Soon, the rain stopped, but everyone was still stuck on the road. They were tired and hungry. At this time, someone finally approached Xia Hanmo and apologized. "Hanmo, I'm sorry and thank you. There's no point in apologizing or thanking me. The most important thing right now is how to get out." This was also the first time Lin Qian had seen something like this. Suddenly she thought of Li Jin. Because every time the country was in trouble, the soldiers were always the first to rush to the front. Would he come? With this thought, Lin Qian wanted to give Li Jin a phone call. But she was too busy running for her life, so she couldn't find her phone. Then she turned around and looked at the other artists. They had probably never experienced something like this in their entire lives. "I've contacted the outside world, but I'm not sure how long we'll have to wait," Zhou Qing said. "But I don't want to stay here. It's too dangerous." Someone in the crowd began to cry. It seemed they were truly frightened. Meanwhile, far away in Beijing, Tongning found out about Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian's situation from Lu Che. They had to think of a way to save them. Chapter 883. The water grew higher and higher. In fact, because of the slippery rocks, the cliff next to them split in half. Everyone was so scared that their legs turned to jelly. "No, we need to continue climbing," Zhou Qing suggested. After all, the destructive power of the flood was too strong. No one could guarantee that they would be able to maintain their current position. "But Zhou, there's no path ahead." "In that case, let's throw away something important and climb back up." Obviously, this side of the mountain was relatively safe because the rocks were more stable, and the forest was more lush. After hearing Xia Hanmo's reminder, everyone immediately threw away the things that they treasured the most. After all, at a time like this, nothing was more important than their lives. Afterwards, Xia Hanmo found some weeds and made them into a sturdy rope. She then tied the girls together, so that they could look out for each other. "Hanmo, thank you. Thank you so much. Hanmo, we didn't treat you well in the past." The girls were already crying their eyes out. They were extremely afraid. With Xia Hanmo's method, they could at least feel each other and feel a sense of security. But the rope wasn't long enough, so it could only tie the weakest girls together. Xia Hanmo turned around and looked at Lin Qian as she pushed her forward. "Walk in front of me. I'll protect you." "Can you still hold on?" Lin Qian asked. "Don't think that you're invincible." At this time, Zhou Qing, who was originally at the front, suddenly moved to the back of the group and stood behind Xia Hanmo. "You walk in front. I'll watch over you." "Zhou, don't underestimate me. At least I'm a man." Zhou Qing patted Xia Hanmo on the shoulder. Just like that, the group of people climbed up with great difficulty. At that moment, no one cared about their image anymore, because it was really too scary down there. Although they did not know how the people in the village had been evacuated, they sincerely hoped that they would be fine. Soon the group of people ran out of energy, but they were still halfway up the mountain. In particular, the weakest girls had no choice but to struggle forward with the help of the men. "Everyone, let's take a break." Everyone collapsed on top of each other. At this time, their bodies were covered in mud. But after their escape, the originally glamorous artists finally threw away their burdens and looked at Xia Hanmo in the eye. "I didn't expect you to be so powerful." "That's right, Hanmo, you saved everyone's lives. Everyone is relatively safe now, but it won't be easy to ask for help. Looking at the weather, there will be heavy rain, so everyone might have to suffer a little," Xia Hanmo said to everyone with her hands on her waist. "Now, we can only find a relatively comfortable place to light a bonfire." "Ah, you still need to light a fire? If there's fire, there's smoke. If there's smoke, it's equivalent to sending a distress signal." Brother Zhou helped Xia Hanmo explain. "I see. I hope everyone will have good luck." As it turned out, everyone's luck was not very good, because Xia Hanmo's prediction was accurate. The sky quickly welcomed the second round of heavy rain. Even if they lit a fire, it was quickly extinguished. Moreover, using wet firewood to light a fire, the smoke would be very choking. Don't tell me I have to sleep here tonight? Xia Hanmo couldn't help but sigh. I think if my real experience was made into a show, the ratings would probably explode. You're still in the mood to joke around? Zhou Qing laughed. Xia Hanmo turned around and looked for Lin Qian. But she noticed that Lin Qian's face was pale. Xia Hanmo reached out her hand to touch her and said anxiously, "You have a fever. What should we do? We've thrown everything away and we don't have any medicine," someone said anxiously, afraid that Lin Qian would infect them. "It's fine. You guys sit to one side, I'll take care of her," Xia Hanmo said as she gathered everyone to the other side. "You can't help me much," Lin Qian said as she leaned against a tree. "I can still hold on. What if you develop pneumonia in a place like this? Who's going to save you?" Xia Hanmo pulled Lin Qian to her side and placed her under the vent. She then tore up her clothes and collected rainwater to apply a cold compress on Lin Qian's blood vessels. "If it's just a cold, you'll be fine. If it's a parasite infection, you'll need to get an injection. You seem to know a lot," Lin Qian smiled helplessly. It wasn't clear who overheard Xia Hanmo's words and thought the parasite was a virus, like the deadly virus that was brought back from Africa. So she secretly told the people around her. As a result, the people around her were afraid, so they directly told Zhou Qing. "Zhou, let's continue climbing. But don't worry about us. We'll continue on our own. I don't want to get infected." Zhou Qing was a little surprised, but no matter how much he tried to explain, it was useless. At this time, Xia Hanmo walked over and said to Zhou Qing, "Zhou, protect them and continue climbing. You just need to stay away from Lin Qian and I. But don't worry, I can handle it." Zhou Qing looked at Xia Hanmo with trust and continued to lead the alarmist people forward. Xia Hanmo accompanied Lin Qian, but Lin Qian still didn't feel good. "Talk to me for a bit," Lin Qian suddenly requested. "What do you want to say?" Xia Hanmo asked as she leaned against her. "Actually, I don't have any parents, so I don't have anything to worry about." Lin Qian sighed. "But you're different. You have a brother." After all, Tongning was in Beijing, so she couldn't receive accurate information. After such a huge flood, did anyone actually go to rescue them? Tongning anxiously called Lu Che 3 times over the course of an hour. In the end, she received an answer from the rescue team. They were probably deep in the mountains and their lives weren't in danger yet. But as long as they didn't see anyone, Tongning's anxious heart couldn't relax. "Don't worry, okay?" Mo Ting comforted the woman in his arms. "We won't be able to help with the rescue. You're still pregnant. As soon as the rescue team finds out where they are, Hai Rui will immediately send a helicopter to pick them up." Tongning calmed down and nodded her head. "They'll be fine. Trust me." No matter how powerful a person was, they were still insignificant in the face of nature. "Can we go to the nearest foothold? I want to see them as soon as I see them." Mo Ting knew he couldn't dissuade Tongning, so he immediately made arrangements. Meanwhile, at the front line of the flood, a special person suddenly appeared in the originally peaceful group. He was Air Force Major General Li Jin. Originally, he came to pick Lin Qian up. But after seeing the huge waves and hearing that Lin Qian and the others might be trapped in the mountains, he grabbed some medicine from the infirmary, removed his jacket and prepared to head up the mountain. "Hey, what are you doing? Don't you know how dangerous it is?" A soldier stopped him from taking the risk, but Li Jin simply pulled out his ID and said, "My family is here." Chapter 884. Lin Qian's fever refused to go down, so Xia Hanmo became a little anxious. Since they couldn't move forward or retreat, she had no choice but to tell Lin Qian, "Stay here for a bit, I'll go start a fire and ask for help." "Those people are so afraid of death." Lin Qian smiled helplessly. "Hanmo, you should leave too. Otherwise, neither of us will be able to leave." "What are you talking about? Are you confused?" Xia Hanmo helped Lin Qian settle down and found a place without any puddles of water. She had no choice but to start a fire using the most primitive method. Lin Qian looked at Xia Hanmo and suddenly felt that everything was worth it. Even if she had nothing, she still had friends. Xia Hanmo looked at Lin Qian as she lit the fire. But all of a sudden, a tall figure appeared from the bushes. Xia Hanmo was so frightened that she immediately put her guard up. But she watched as the man knelt down in front of Lin Qian, pulled out a needle from his backpack, and injected Lin Qian with anti-inflammatory medicine. Lin Qian was very weak, but she still managed to see who it was. Li Jin. It's me, Li Jin replied coldly. Why are you here? I'm looking for you, Li Jin replied as he prepared to carry Lin Qian on his back. Xia Hanmo immediately ran over to help. She never expected that someone would risk their life to find Lin Qian. A man like this suddenly appeared unusually tall, even though he was already quite strong to begin with. What happened? Where are the others? Xia Hanmo told Li Jin about how the others were afraid that Lin Qian would infect them. As they walked, they explained the situation. So they abandoned Lin Qian? Li Jin's voice was cold. Xia Hanmo did not explain because it was the truth. Meanwhile, Lin Qian had already fallen asleep on Li Jin's back. But to Xia Hanmo's surprise, Li Jin didn't feel anything even though he was carrying such a heavy person on his back. In fact, he walked even lighter than her. After we climb over this mountain, there's a village at the bottom. How did you know? Li Jin couldn't tell her that he had flown through this place countless times in his fighter jet, so he remained silent. As soon as Xia Hanmo saw Li Jin, she could tell that he didn't want to reveal his identity, so she didn't ask further. The three of them quickly got out of their predicament thanks to Li Jin's guidance. When they reached the foot of the mountain, Xia Hanmo immediately ran in front to find a suitable place for Lin Qian to rest, while Li Jin carried Lin Qian and walked behind. After a nap, Lin Qian felt much better. When she opened her eyes and saw the man who was carrying her, she laid on his body with relief. Why did you come? It's that dangerous. I told you I won't abandon you so easily, Li Jin said bluntly. Lin Qian's heart skipped a beat as tears began to flow from the corners of her eyes. I didn't plan on contacting you when I came out because I thought we wouldn't be able to go on for long. After all, we're both very busy. Am I not here to look for you? When I'm busy, you look for me. When you're busy, I look for you. This way, our relationship won't fade. That seems to make sense. Lin Qian suddenly burst into tears. Regardless of the reason why Li Jin had come looking for her, he had opened her heart and opened the door to her heart. After all, he had risked his life for her. Soon, Xia Hanmo found the man who was willing to let them rest. So Li Jin immediately placed Lin Qian on the bed and stripped her of her clothes. Let me help you wipe you off before you go to sleep. At this time, Lin Qian couldn't care less. But Xia Hanmo was right next to her. You and Lin Qian are. Although Li Jin was willing to risk his life to look for Lin Qian, she still needed to confirm that he wasn't. What if Lin Qian wasn't willing? I am her boyfriend, Li Jin. I've never heard her mention it before. Xia Hanmo laughed. Forget it, now's not the time to talk about this. I'm not sure where they've gone. I discovered their tracks, but I didn't go look for them, Li Jin replied. According to the direction they're heading, they should be able to reach this village. But it will take them an entire day to get there, and they'll only be able to get here in the wee hours of the morning. This is their punishment for leaving Qian behind. For a moment, Xia Hanmo felt this man was super cool. He was cold, but he was capable. In this aspect, he was very similar to Mo Ting. But they were both awesome in different areas. Plus, the group of people were reaping what they sowed. The sky gradually turned dark. Xia Hanmo and Li Jin had already washed up and changed into clean clothes. At this time, the rest of the people finally arrived at the village. Of course, even though Xia Hanmo hated them, she still asked the owner of the house to temporarily take them in and provide them with some compensation. Hanmo, what's wrong with you? It wasn't easy for the owner of the house to agree to take you in. Go and wash up. After Zhou Qing completed his mission of protecting everyone, he approached Xia Hanmo and apologized in a serious manner. I am responsible for leaving you all there. Zhougu, I understand. If you didn't protect them, they would have gotten lost in the mountains. But since you came down early, why didn't you come and look for us? Someone asked angrily. What? Weren't you afraid that Lin Qian would spread the virus to you? Xia Hanmo asked. When you abandoned Lin Qian and I, you should have known that even if I knew how to escape, I wouldn't have told you. Plus, we were saved by Lin Qian's boyfriend, Xia Hanmo said as she looked at Li Jin. At this time, Li Jin also walked out of Lin Qian's room. But he simply said to Xia Hanmo, Hairue's people are nearby. Your agency will send a helicopter to pick them up. What about us? We're already in a safe area. Do you want to go home? Think of a way, Li Jin replied. Arriving at the village meant that they had access to electricity and a signal. So Li Jin's words were not a problem. So, everyone else could only watch helplessly as Hairue's plane picked them up and took them away. Xia Hanmo looked at Zhou Qing and Zhou Qing understood, gesturing for her not to worry. He would take good care of these people. As Xia Hanmo left, he whispered in her ear. When you get home, announce Lin Qian's situation to the public. Don't let anyone use this opportunity to create hype. Thank you, Zhougu, Xia Hanmo nodded. After all, a celebrity escaping from a flood was bound to be a hot topic. Plus, there were bound to be people that wanted to use this opportunity to create hype. So, Zhou Qing told Xia Hanmo to control the situation. At the very least, she couldn't let herself be at a disadvantage. After all, she had already helped this bunch of trash enough. Of course, after they returned home, the next episode would be easy to do. Chapter 885. Superstar Media was the first to pick up their artist. Emoting's private plane was parked in a small town not too far away. As the boss of Superstar Media, Tongning finally confirmed her artist's safety and successfully met with Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian. Ningjie, we are both fine. Lin Qian took some medicine and is still unconscious. Her boyfriend is currently taking care of her, Xia Hanmo said as she walked out of the living room. Tongning leaned back on the sofa and turned to look at Xia Hanmo. She then nodded her head. I'm relieved to see that you're both safe. You didn't actually need to come. Xia Hanmo couldn't say that she wasn't touched. After all, which boss would personally fly to a small town like this just to see their artist? After confirming that you're fine, I naturally left. By the way, what's going on with Lin Qian's boyfriend? Apart from Quan Zai, Tongning had never heard that Lin Qian had a new boyfriend. Just as Xia Hanmo was about to explain, Li Jin walked out of Lin Qian's room. His tall build was comparable to Mo Ting's, but the aura he exuded was one of determination and unyieldingness. This couldn't be compared to Mo Ting's dangerous aura. No matter where Mo Ting stood, he was like an emperor. But this man. As soon as Lin Qian wakes up, I will take her away, Li Jin said. You. Tongning was surprised. When did Lin Qian get to know such a playboy? I am Li Jin. After speaking, Li Jin turned around and returned to his room. He had no desire to talk to them. After all, his time was limited. Tongning looked at Xia Hanmo and Xia Hanmo shrugged her shoulders. She then told Tongning about the incident on the mountain and how Lin Qian was abandoned. After hearing this, Tongning's gaze was the same as Li Jin's. Good. Xia Hanmo couldn't help but feel a chill down her spine. So she quickly changed the topic. Where's President Mo? Didn't he come with you? He's in his room dealing with some business, Tongning replied. She then turned to Xia Hanmo. Pack your things, we're flying back to Beijing tonight. The flash flood had already attracted a lot of attention from the public. Now that an artist was involved, it became even more popular. This time, Superstar Media was the first to receive their artists. As soon as they stepped off the plane, they were surrounded by reporters. Xia Hanmo, tell me how you escaped. Xia Hanmo. As Mo Ting was around, the reporters did not dare to get too close. So Tongning was able to reply casually. Thank you everyone for your attention. However, Hanmo has just escaped death and is exhausted. I hope everyone can let her go home and get some rest. Xia Hanmo, I heard that when you and your manager were escaping with the others, you deliberately left them behind and escaped the danger zone on your own. Is that true? As soon as this question appeared, Tongning's expression immediately changed as she glared at the reporter. Where did you hear that? The man was silent for a few seconds. Perhaps he was shocked by Tongning's expression, so it took him a moment to react and reply. This is news from my friend in the disaster area. In that case, what did your friend say? Tongning asked. He said that Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian successfully escaped with the help of a soldier, but they did not return to help the others. In that case, I'm sure your friend doesn't know that if Xia Hanmo hadn't suggested for them to evacuate the guest house, they would already be dead bodies by now. Tongning said calmly in seriousness. I'm sure your friend doesn't know that Xia Hanmo helped everyone solve their problems along the way, but left the most dangerous part of the journey to ensure everyone's safety. In fact, he doesn't even know that Xia Hanmo's manager had a fever and was mistaken for a virus, so everyone abandoned them and escaped on their own? The reporter was suddenly speechless. He never expected this to be the truth. My agency's manager, Lin Qian, is still unconscious. If they still have an ounce of conscience, they better not use this incident to create hype. Otherwise, superstar media will teach them how to write the word regret. After speaking, Tongning turned around and glanced at Xia Hanmo. She then said to the reporters, I've already said what I needed to say. Please move aside. Tongning wasn't someone to be messed with. Everyone knew this. So the reporters automatically moved aside and allowed them to continue walking. Mo Ting stepped forward to protect his wife as he glanced at the reporter that questioned Tongning. It seemed he wanted to know his identity. Zhou Qing's guess was indeed correct. There were bound to be people that were afraid of being exposed for abandoning a friend, so they couldn't help but make a move. The disaster continued to happen, and the mountain torrents continued to spread. As the disaster was severe, people from all walks of life paid close attention to it. So, after Tongning made her statement, she did not ask Xia Hanmo to explain herself anymore. Instead, she told her to cooperate with the police and help them understand the terrain. Afterwards, Superstar Media also made a donation to help with the disaster. Because of Superstar Media's suppression, artists from other agencies did not dare to make a sound after returning to Beijing. Only one artist tried to step out to explain themselves, but they were labeled as hype by the public. So from then on, they gave up on the idea. Lin Qian woke up after sleeping for a whole day. When she woke up, she was at Li Jin's villa. Lin Qian couldn't remember what happened after she fell asleep. It seemed that her illness wasn't light. You're awake? Li Jin pushed open the door and entered with a bowl of porridge in her hand. Have some, or you won't have any strength. How are the others? We're all fine. He then placed the bowl of porridge in Lin Qian's hands. You have a good boss. What do you mean? Li Jin was referring to the incident where Tongning angrily yelled at the reporters at the airport. From the fact that Tongning headed straight to the disaster area, it was obvious that she truly cared about her staff and wasn't putting on an act. When you're better, you can find out for yourself. Li Jin didn't care about the industry, he only cared about his own people. Lin Qian nodded her head and ate a few mouthfuls of porridge. However, the taste was too bland and she had no appetite. When you get better, come to the army to train. Ha! Lin Qian was stunned. Otherwise, you will drag your artist down. Lin Qian didn't want to give up. Although Li Jin was telling the truth, did he really have to say everything on his mind? I'm not going. You are my family. You must go. Li Jin's tone was a little domineering. I don't like it when people force me. Chapter 886. In that case, you should be obedient. If I hadn't arrived in the mountains early, who would have come to save you? At this point, Li Jin's tone softened a little. At least, you should be like your artist and know how to survive in the wild. Lin Qian understood that this was Li Jin's concession, so she nodded her head. Okay, I'll go when I'm free. The two suddenly fell silent. They didn't have much in common to talk about, so Lin Qian felt a little awkward. You've been delayed for a couple of days. Aren't you busy? Li Jin did not say a word. He simply placed the spare keys on the bedside table and suddenly hugged Lin Qian before he stood up. I'll be going out in a bit. I might not be back for another 5 days. Lin Qian's face turned a little red as she nodded her head. I'll be home as soon as I feel better. Move in. Huh? I won't be around often anyway, so you don't need to worry about it being awkward. After speaking, Li Jin turned and left, leaving Lin Qian feeling a little conflicted. Although she had no parents, it didn't mean that she was careless. As long as a man invited her, she would willingly come over. So Lin Qian simply looked at Li Jin's spare keys and did not take them. After Li Jin left, she got out of bed, tidied up a little, and returned to the apartment she shared with Xing Lan. Oh my God, you're finally back. Xing Lan immediately ran over to help her. I asked Ning Jie and she told me that you were at my cousin's home. This time, he went all the way to the mountains to save you. Are you touched? I feel a little dizzy. Lin Qian rubbed her head and sat down on the sofa. So, how far have you progressed? Hurry and tell me. Hurry and tell me. Lin Qian couldn't stand Xing Lan's questioning any longer, so she replied honestly, when I was on the brink of death in the mountains, Li Jin suddenly appeared in front of me. At that moment, I felt like I was going to fall into his hands for the rest of my life. I admit that my feelings for him are different, but he's too domineering. You've gotten used to being wild and need a man to control you, Xing Lan laughed. Either way, if you survive this disaster, you're bound to have good fortune in the future. Lin Qian shook her head and sounded a little depressed. Either way, I haven't seen any good fortune yet. 2 days after the flood, society's reaction finally returned to normal. In other words, it was time for the artists to surface. But everyone kept talking about how dangerous the disaster was and how scared they were. No one dared to mention that they had abandoned Lin Qian and Tang Ning. Except for one person, Zhou Qing. During an interview with the media, Zhou Qing said, "It's all thanks to Hanmo this time. Hanmo is indeed an artist of superstar media. She has a lot of wilderness survival experience, so she saved everyone's lives." In that case, Zhou Ge, what are your thoughts on how Tang Ning insulted the reporters? Is what Tang Ning said true? Zhou Qing knew he couldn't escape this question. So after a few seconds of silence, he lifted his head and replied, I think, when faced with a disaster, everyone is afraid. It is also because of this fear that many people will seek advantages and avoid disadvantages, and make some choices that are beneficial to themselves. At the time, Lin Qian was running a fever and Hanmo may have threatened Lin Qian, so someone happened to hear what she said. It's normal for people to be afraid. Of course, leaving the two of them behind is an act of ingratitude on everyone's part, including me. I hope that no one will deny this. If you've done something wrong, you should admit it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I also want to apologize to Hanmo and her manager, Lin Qian. I'm sorry. Zhou Qing was completely on Xia Hanmo's side. At the time, he wanted to protect the idiots from getting lost or abandoning more people. But he had no intention of denying the incident. He was honest and decisive. So, Zhou Qing's words revealed the entire situation when they escaped from the mountains. Xia Hanmo had indeed helped everyone, but everyone had abandoned Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian. During this period of time, Zhou Qing's words caused fans to scold him. But they weren't the minority. Many fans left comments on Superstar Media's official website on behalf of their own artists, hoping that Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian would forgive them for their cowardice. Of course, the public's impression of Xia Hanmo also changed. I never thought that Xia Hanmo would actually have the ability to adapt and save so many lives. I've long heard that she's good at surviving in the wild. It seems she wasn't lying. I've finally seen Xia Hanmo's cute side. What's going on? On the other hand, Tang Ning rushed to the disaster area that very night just to see her artist in person. A boss like this was well respected by everyone. On top of that, on the way back, Tang Ning even scolded the reporters. Thinking about it, her image suddenly became 2.8 tall. I must say, apart from being a good actress, Tang Ning is also a good boss. With so many talented artists under her command, Superstar Media is bound to rise. Tang Ning exists to refresh our understanding of the entertainment industry every day. Because of this incident, Tang Ning, Superstar Media, Xia Hanmo and Zhou Qing all received varying degrees of attention, and their reputations began to increase. Afterwards, everyone on set of The Big Adventure changed their attitude towards Xia Hanmo and acknowledged her as a permanent host. After all, a talented person like her was exactly what they needed, especially when it came to surviving in the wild. A few days later, Lin Qian made a full recovery and returned to work. As soon as she arrived at Superstar Media and saw Tongning, she noticed that Tongning was looking at her strangely. "What's wrong? Do you want to explain who Li Jin is to you?" Tongning asked. "How long has it been since the incident with Quanzai?" Huh. Lin Qian never expected that Tongning would care so much about gossip. So she let out a gentle laugh and replied, "He can be considered my boyfriend." "What do you mean by that?" "Yes means yes." Lin Qian thought for a moment before she explained how she and Li Jin had developed their relationship from the moment they first met. She also included how Li Jin helped her escape from the Quan family, and how he rushed into the mountains to save her. After Tongning heard everything, she replied, "In this aspect, he's much better than Quanzai. Back then, Quanzai couldn't do anything to you, but Li Jin seemed to have you under his thumb. But you need to be prepared. Being the wife of a soldier means that you won't be together much." Lin Qian shook her head in confusion. "I haven't thought that far yet. I'll just take one step at a time." Tongning understood that it was because their relationship wasn't deep enough. "Since you're back, you should return to work. The Big Adventure is about to reshoot and Hanmo needs you by her side," Tongning instructed. "Of course, we're going overseas this time. You should think about whether you want to go or not." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.